Guess who?
Hello, everyone. I'm graced with the presence of David. Thank God this man always comes through, and I think George Will would agree with me.
Maze and an emphatic stroke of Byzantine whimsy.
Thanks for joining us, David.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to do something here. Sarah said that I should. What do I do here? I want to put our faces to the left. And what does it require to do that? No, I don't want to do that. Is that why can't?
Because I know when you share things,
right,
it puts us to the left.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe you have to be put to. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone. I am doing I think this is the most responsible, spontaneous. I feel a little bit of. I feel decent in this kind of. How do I put it? Carpe diem effexor, a little bit of energy. Woke up when I didn't want to, and I'm trying to carpe diem and seize the day. And I needed to do a practice run. I had no idea the Alec Baldwin Rust preliminary hearings would be today, and I kind of peeked in on it, and it looks like the trial is a go. He tried to, and I say this and about just all these Trump cases, right? And this is just in anything legalese. If you're innocent, and David, I think you'll agree with me on this, you can't wait to get in front of a court and jury to prove it. You don't delay. You don't hire a team of lawyers to delay things for 4 years. You can't. Let's use Trump. Stolen documents, election interference, January 6th. If you are so innocent, get the fuck in there and prove it. You can't wait to get in there. And so that's how I know he's guilty of everything.
Yeah, I always got a sense from like the Brown Rudnick team that they were so excited to just like it, it's just like every day we get to pull a rabbit out of a hat, and just amaze the audience with how much proof we have,
The Depp trial, Depp was like, let's do this now. That's the opposite of now he's guilty of some things.
Right.
But I think that sent, you're so right. Initially, the Depp trial in Fairfax sent a major message that he's raring to go. He's not going, let's take 4 years to do this.
Right.
He's like, do it now. I've never seen a celebrity so raring to go in terms of like it right on schedule.
Yeah.
You never see that. And thank God, hey, thank you, New Mexico. I love the state of New Mexico. It's good. It's turning into one of my favorite states. They're like, nope, full transparency, cameras in courts, none of this fucking federal New York bullshit where you don't see one thing and we got to take everyone's word for it. The stupid transcripts and the court reporters are running on MSNBC every 10 seconds. No, we get to see it and we get to judge for ourselves.
Right.
Thank you, New Mexico. I love you. David, I don't know how hip to this trial you are other than the basics, but this is a practice run, but this happened today. It's sort of like a preliminary, and I just want to get my bearings and acclimate people. I mean, I'm pretty hip to this whole thing.
Yeah,
I really took it in the bowels of my depression. So I just want to get other people acclimated to it. Thank you, A. Smith. You are immense, sir. I know you heard our Vanderarm. we want you on Vanderarm Rules episode 3. David, I think you'll back me up on this.
We need another heterosexual man in there to balance out the
and like really like I'm not a metrosexual. Everyone knows I'm all testosterone, but I am not ashamed to dip into the homoerotica once in a while with you people.
Yeah, I mean that shows that you're secure with your sexuality for sure.
He's truly a real man, machismo, that A. Smith. So, and he's such a good guy. He's like, sure, I'll do it, whatever. It's no different than if someone watched like Bill Simmons watching fucking Jersey Shore. Why is that okay?
Right. That's so true.
And you were fantastic on there, David.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
it was. I can't wait for 3.
Yeah, same.
It was somebody in the comments. It could have been Diane D or Marta or somebody.
I think it was Diane.
We should do like I think it was Diane. We should do a just like a general Bravo chat before we do the actual review.
I think that's a good idea. I actually our commentary inspired me to kind of review like Real Housewives of New York a little bit. So I definitely would have more it would help me jog my memory to be able to contribute to those types of conversations.
There's a lot going on there with the 2024 set of eyes.
Yeah, definitely.
Like knowing what you know now, like even if it's like Bethany Frankel and her divorce,
Right.
easy. I recommend that her spinoff because you get to see the marriage right before it crumbles and all the.
Well, and I remember
No.
I remember on a Gunq show she uses the same helicopter place as Howard does,
Yes.
right?
Thank you
Yeah.
for remembering that. That you got such a great mind on you. That's exactly right. So what 12th Street, it's if you go to Manhattan, the furthest west side in the 30s, there's a helicopter pad, and that's where all the celebrities fly into the Hamptons. Speaking of the Hamptons, we got
Yeah.
Alec. That's what he uses. That's what Alec.
Right.
I
There you
know
go.
he uses it. Even though one time I heard him, it was either on Howard's show, could have been Adam Carolla's West Coast show when he took Howard's markets. He was like, um, and that might have been on Love Lines, actually.
Yeah.
He was like, that's the great thing about Alec, actually, is he'll do anything.
Right,
He's
right.
no
Yeah.
ego he'll just say, hey, I'll try this. He's like, I'm driving to the Hamptons and the LIE, and I hear you and Dr. Drew, and I'm like, that man is just as good as Howard Stern is. That's what he told out. Yeah. So I like he really drives, but I think he's got that fucking 30 Rock money now.
Yeah.
And I think he's choppering in with 7 kids.
Oh yeah, and he'll do any podcast because I think he loves to hear himself talk and regale, the plebeians with his show business stories. So any opportunity he has to,
I
pull
was really
focus, he'll do
impressed
it.
with him on Dana Carvey and David Spade's Fly on the Wall.
Oh, Fly
Like
on the Wall, yeah.
that brain of his can be really, really stupid or really, really smart. And he
Yeah,
was hitting
agreed.
on all cylinders. I think he felt exonerated during that because he felt you knew he was like in really good spirits. And I think in his
Right.
mind, I was thinking this, he thinks that they're going to throw it out because initially he did get exonerated, and the New Mexico uh, lawyers they reissued it.
Yeah.
They refiled it, and he was in the clear for a while. And the prosecutors is like, no, let's try this again. And when Hannah Gutierrez got convicted, I think she's got 16 months. It's on. Like, why would the armorer get a sentence and you don't?
Yeah,
You're the
absolutely.
producer. You greenlit. You're supposed to check all this shit. You get all the money. I looked at the budget, by the way. The Rust movie production budget is $7 million. How much of that do you
Wow.
think he gets?
Oh gosh. I mean, it's the same with like Gene Dubarry, where it's like, I wonder if he gets half of that. I mean, is anyone else famous in this movie?
Do you know who Jensen Ackles is?
Yeah, I
You
don't.
people love the CW and WB.
Right.
He was on Supernatural.
Oh, okay.
He's in
I
some
missed that
stuff.
one.
He's really good looking guy. He's got like a really stiff acting style. He sounds like Brad Pitt, like a Dollar Tree Brad Pitt when he
Right.
speaks. I never find him convincing. Seems like a really nice guy. He has a full deposition for this, by the way.
Oh my
And so does
gosh.
Alec, and so does Hannah Gutierrez. And I recommend anyone watching it. I was gonna stream that in the bowels of my depression, and I didn't do it. I just
Yeah.
I just bailed. The Alec one.
I have the director's IMDb pulled up, by the way, if you want to.
Okay. So the director of Rust is a gentleman named Joel Souza, and David's gonna read what his film credits are.
I mean, as a director, he has 5 credits under his name. I've never heard of any of these movies. Hannah's Gold, Ghost Squad.
Well, hold back. Stop for a minute.
Oh,
Isn't
sure.
that crazy? Hannah Gutierrez is the fucking armorer. A lot of H's. You got Helena Hutchins, more
Right.
H's than Kurt Cobain's coffee table.
Right. Exactly. This one is interesting. He did a movie called Christmas Trade with Billy Baldwin.
Oh, that's so crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Billy
Good
Baldwin,
catch.
Denise Richards, Tom Arnold. Most of these movies don't have like known people in it, but this one seems to This is 2015 Christmas trade, and yeah, it seems to have some known people in it.
Speaking of testicular providence, he's trying to get on now. Hey, G Canada, if you're listening, your camera was on. I don't know if you want that. I'm not against it. People just like their anonymity and privacy. I find that more people want to come on if they don't have to show their big fat faces. I'm not even against mine. I mean, I'll show you my picture on a still, but I'm a Riley Martin P-jar kind of guy, and I just can't be on camera if I'm sucking back. Like right now, I have a Mountain Dew and vodka.
Right. Okay.
Great drink, highball.
Yeah, you can't be on camera if you're catheterized right now.
Testicular providence, is that you? G man.
Hey, yeah, I'm here, man.
Oh, there he is. Hey,
G Canada.
How's it going?
David's here, G Canada.
Afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
I'm still trying to figure this thing out. Yeah, I talked to
You're
Arm
very
before.
crackly. You're very crackly, G.
I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go back to Halifax and come back. Okay, that was G Canada. He's going to be sitting in a lot. I emailed him like 5 minutes ago, and he's like, "I'll do it. He loved to talk, anything like gun laws, and oh my God, he's all over this. Right. Thank you, Barbara DeRush. I think I can get into this trial. He's so arrogant. That wife of his is all fake, and she thinks she's Spanish, and plus reality. I know. I forgot the reality show. They just boy, is that a telltale money grab, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's their equivalent of like a Sauvage commercial.
I would love to know what they got for the reality show.
What is it going to be on Bravo or what is it?
I don't know what the streaming service. I thought I saw it. Crap. God, I did see it. God, it might be A&E.
Oh, that sounds right.
Something like that. Might be like A&E. Little Dephead. We want you on the show, Little Dephead. David wants to probe you a little bit for your Dep intel and insider stuff. You keep asking us, we keep sending. Please contact us. The Deppening arm at gmail.com. 17 Squabble Lane with 3 B's. The Deppening at gmail.com.
It's going to be on TLC in 2025. It says.
I always confuse TLC with
they're the same. Yeah.
Yep. Kylo Sierra Alpha, welcome KSA, Melvin, I ate sushi and now I'm peeing out my mud hole. Leave it to Melvin to leave that comment. Very germane.
Thank you. Yes.
There's Sarah. Hi, Sierra. If you notice in the bottom right, there's Sarah's daughter, Wonderkind Catstronaut Camilla. That's a real picture of Sarah's cartoon cat.
Who's her avatar today?
Oh, that's fucking Nick. She's obsessed with Nick Rekieta.
Okay.
He's just like a grifter streamer. He covered the Depp trial, and he's just crazy Minnesota Viking kind of. He got into this crazy trouble with his kids and some dope named fucking Steel Toe and all this tedium in the Dabbleverse. Okay. This gives me a headache.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joni. Sarah loves it though. It's pretty big stuff in that world, but I don't give a shit. Life's too short to Rekieta around.
We need to embroider that on a pillow. Yeah.
If I learned anything in the depths of my depression is that life's too short to Nick Rekieta all day. Hey, Autobot. Welcome, sir. I'm coming up to Vancouver soon. We're going to do a Jump Street tour and record it. Really am. We're really doing that. And we're going to bring Patrick Hasberg with us. I also want to say Sunday, Davi, you'll be interested in this.
Yeah.
None other than Black Morticia Adams is going to join us for the best years of your life, Brad Pitt Jump Street episode.
Brilliant. That's going to be so much fun.
She's like the Apollonia. She's like the millennial Apollonia to Prince. She's obsessed with like all old school stuff like you are.
Yeah.
She's got like that, sort of a precocious brain.
Yeah.
And loves all old school stuff.
We can pool all our references and have the best show ever. Yeah.
And Kathy Scott as well. So it's the four of us. That should be good. And we're recording it Sunday. I'll probably drop it as the millennials say,
right.
Monday. Right, Texaho? As Kylo. There's Isabel. Happy summer solstice to you as well, Isabel, and your Baltimore Orioles. Babe Lewis, good to see you. Babe Lewis, always great. And again, this is just this Fine Chug. Hey, Fine Chug. I like Fine Chug's Instagram. He's got a really cute family, and he's a great. I can tell he's a great dad just off his Instagram. I just know
We
it.
love to see that. Yeah,
a lot of bad parents in this world, and
absolutely.
Fine Chug isn't one of them. Okay. So I'm gonna go through the IMDb for Rust first. And like I said, this is a practice run, but this preliminary hearing did happen today. So it gives us a chance to kind of get comfortable with it, and I get to acclimate all you humanoids to what's going on. I really immersed myself in this, in the depths of my depression. It was actually great. It's a great distraction.
Yeah.
And I kind of learned, gun law, not about New Mexico. The prosecuting lawyer is fantastic. She is like she's like the WASP Kate McKinnon of New Mexico. And she threatened Alec at the end of her closing.
Oh,
She's
wow.
like, and she looks at the camera, she goes, and Alec Baldwin, we are coming for you. You will get yours.
Wow.
Just because does not mean we are coming for you. And it was crazy. She got stronger as it went on. It was she's really good. I bet she's going to get major work after the trial. Well, even after the Hannah Gutierrez one.
she'll replace Camille on MSNBC for any of the legal consultations they need.
I haven't seen Vasquez in a while in terms of correspondence stuff. I don't know if her star is fading or I can't catch it. I can't quite.
Is she? I mean, I'm sure she's done other trials since Depp.
Well, she
and
was
they're just not with
involved in the City of Lies thing with Rocky Brooks and the whole Depp punched him in the stomach and the that made that go away. They threw money at him.
Gotcha.
I was hoping that would be televised. That would be great.
That would be.
It's very difficult to find Rocky Brooks pictures other than the one with Depp's arm around him.
Okay.
And if it's true that Rocky Brooks insulted a Nubian princess on the streets of LA in the middle of the night, I'm glad Depp assaulted him. And if he didn't, I would have.
Right.
Good. Good. I'm glad you got your ass kicked.
I didn't catch that story. Yeah.
Cindy Clausen, welcome. No excuse, Cindy. The procrastination doing it. I am the Ricky Henderson of procrastination, Cindy. Speaking of Jesse Barfield, welcome, G Canada.
Well, you got me with your testicular provenance before, and I was
provenance.
I was all honored, and then my unit all crapped out on me. Every time I try and use a
you're a little soft now.
Okay. Every time I try and use it, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know how to turn it.
Are you in the mountains of Calgary right now?
Oh, there's the settings. Yeah, give me a second. I turned it down because I don't want.
That's okay. That's okay. I got. I'm happy. A little bit. What do you think?
Am I better now? Am I better now? Am I better?
That's better. Yeah, that got better.
A little soft, but I could handle it.
Yeah, I don't want to overshadow the great arm or the great division.
No, you. I really appreciate you joining at the last. I didn't know I was doing this. I woke up and saw they were doing a preliminary. They didn't announce it, and I know you're going to join us a lot, and I just threw it at you just in case.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm honored, man. And I was actually home today for whatever reason in the afternoon. I just saw it at the last minute. But I have to break out my old equipment because none of the new stuff works properly, it seems like. But anyway.
I love this name here we got here. Femme Natale. Natalia. Femme Natale. That's such a cool name.
Good play on words there.
It's like Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff. Johnny Bye-Bye. Welcome, Johnny. I want to thank you for everything you've done. Books. Every day I'm cutting something out of a book you sent me, like a screenshot of a Depp passage, and you're such a cool dude, man. I know you're a Depp contrarian. We love it. So is G Canada. Hashtag Amber's IQ is higher than arms. Yes, it is, as a matter of fact. And I gonna still call on you for various obscure stuff. I had something I just wanted to thank you again. I was about to email you because Monique gave me your email address. I actually sent her an invite.
You sent Monique an invite?
Yes.
Nice.
Super slinky Hilaria Baldwin. Johnny Bye has a crush on Liz Cheney from the January 6 hearings. That's strange. He's an interesting dude. Sunflower Dragon. Look who it is, David.
Oh my gosh! Haven't
yes.
the one who knighted me the teacher's pet of the Deppening, and it's
yes,
the most accurate.
She did say that.
Most
Thank
accurate
you, Sunflower
description.
Dragon.
I love it.
She knows a lot about legalese, and we're lucky to have her. Hopefully, everyone sits in during those. It's like there she is, Black Morticia Adams, David, your sister in
millennialness,
millennial precociousness. A. Smith, Little Dephead. You're our favorite gang, Little Dephead.
Apparently, Melvin finds my avatar triggering.
Ironically,
that's the whole point.
Triggers.
That's the whole point. I'll get into it later of why I put
that
specific one there. And
let me go over. Let
me
just go through the test. Yep. See if I missed anyone here.
Because there's actual triggers in your photo. Yeah.
Yep. Carlos Sierra Alpha's. Carlo's very excited for a G Canada appearance. TLC. Okay, I'll try not to be shy. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Dephead. We want you on the show. You don't have to say whatever you want, and we'll just guide you through, just to instill confidence in you. It's not look, right, David?
Yeah, we're not going to track you to your suites or address, Little Dephead.
There's no easier hang or sweeter individual than David. So if that empowers you, it really is. He's such a light, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Look at who's Chaka Khan's here.
Oh my God.
Let me rock it, Chaka Khan. Let me feel for you. That's an honor. She's always. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I feel like when we do the show at different times, like people we never see show up in the chat. It's so funny.
It is. Yeah. Fine Chaka is commenting on his fatherhood. He really is a great dad. I'm always touched when I look at his Instagram.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin. Okay. So, I don't think Sarah can. I can turn up his volume, Sarah. Is that true? I don't know how I do that. Oh crap! I muted him. I tried to turn his volume up. Shit.
Yeah. I have it turned up all the way on my end.
I don't think I can do anything. I think your settings you can.
I already cranked it right up, man.
Yeah, that's okay. You sound okay.
Hey John, I'm sorry I have to go. It was such a quick appearance, but glad I could be part of the intro for the show.
I know you people are like wham bam, thank you, ma'am, but Jesus Christ,
exactly. In and out. Yeah.
Thank you, Debbie. Thanks for getting us started. You warned me. You knew.
Yeah,
you knew. I mean, I knew. I knew the risk going in.
You knew. Yes.
By the way, she's from either Arizona or New Mexico. Heather Wilson.
That's right.
I think it's Arizona.
Okay, all right. Now close enough.
I have a sports obsessed 5th grader who loves the Super Bowl.
You were all a buzz. Yeah, right. But I'll see you on Sunday, and have a great show. I'll catch the show.
Thank you, David. I'll see you Sunday. Yeah.
Right. Bye, G Canada. Take care.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Okay, G Canada. So I'm going to go over. I know you're really into IMDb, and I'm going to go over this. So this is the set of Rust. Okay, this is a movie that was filmed. I swear to God, this was done in 2021. This shit happened. It is now 3 years later, and they're getting to this when the shooting happened. So the premise is
justice turn slowly.
yes. I say that all the time, right? Slow justice is no justice. Yep. But they're actually getting to this. So you see it on the screen here? I don't know if you're getting it. Yeah, there you go.
I'm getting it. Yep.
A boy left to fend for himself and his younger brother following their parents' deaths in 1880. Kansas goes on the run with a long estranged grandfather after he's sentenced to hang out for the accidental killing of a local rancher, directed by Joel Sousa. And so the cast here, we have, for some reason, Jensen Ackles is not shown, but he has a deposition. No, it doesn't matter. It's not going to get Travis Fimmel, Francis Fisher, Jake Busey, Shasta McNasty. You talk about Nepo baby. Sorry, ladies, he is taken. There's Alec as Harland Rust, Josh Hopkins, Bryant Carroll, Devin Worksizer, Hayes Hargrove, real stars. This is like, Ocean's 11 here. Travis Hammer. Okay, you get the
Wasn't
hint.
Travis
And it was
Fimmel
shot
the
in
Sons of
2000.
Anarchy guy? Wasn't Travis Fimmel the
Yes,
Sons of
good
Anarchy
call.
guy?
Yes, he was.
And actually, he
You
was in
you
another
know
one.
all the cool crime dramas.
Yeah, but he was in another one that
No,
was
you're
set
right.
in
That's
India.
exactly right.
And I forget what it was called. Jeez, but it was actually quite good. It was set in
Who did
like
he play in Sons of Anarchy?
oh, he was the main character guy, Jax Teller. Did you ever watch that
No.
show? Oh, I mean,
No.
it was okay.
No,
It
no,
was
no,
fine.
no. That's different, dude.
Are you sure?
You're talking about
Oh,
you're talking about what's his name? Charlie
I
Hunnam.
always get
Charlie
I
Hunnam
always
is
get
that
those
guy.
two confused. Yeah, you're right. He was the Vikings guy, the guy from Vikings, Travis Fimmel.
Yes, that's exactly right. He's kind of like
Okay, yeah.
a Dollar Tree Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I get the two of them mixed up all the time. It's
Gee, is there any way you can raise your volume?
if you want me to go out and come in again, but okay, hold on.
Let's try that.
Is that any better?
I think keep talking a little bit.
Well, yeah, the two of those guys I get mixed up all the time. It must be on your end though with the volume because mine's cranked up all the way here.
I don't know how it
try
would be. I don't know what I can do.
Okay. Why don't I go out and come back in with
Okay,
different headphones on?
I'm looking at your mic settings now. Now
Yeah.
speak again. Wait.
Okay.
I can't do
Is it
anything.
any
Okay,
better?
wait. Okay, wait. Speak again.
Is that any better?
Go ahead. I got
Is
it
that
cranked
any
up
better?
now to
Is that any better?
maybe a little
Can
bit.
people hear me now?
I
Why don't
got
I
it
just
cranked
go out and
up.
come back in with different headphones, man? It might help.
Okay, try that.
Yep.
Okay, so G Canada's coming back, and I'm just going to go over the IMDb a little bit. So again, this was shot. This was shot in 2021. It's one of the interesting things and I found it's like peripherally watching the Hannah Gutierrez trial, like I did in immersed in it. The entire cast and crew, not the entire, but many people are suing Baldwin, Rust, everybody involved because of what went down. And there's many lawsuits happening. And I think they're all going after that 30 Rock money. Sarah wants me to put the overlay up. She's going crazy over here. Zoe's I thought I did. I know I did. I know I put that up. That's why I didn't Sarah wants me to put the overlay. I'm gonna damn it. Okay. This is why you practice, guys. This is what she wants. There it is. Ironically, it's covering Helena Hutchins' face, who is the victim in all this. Capitalism runs amok again, right, G Canada?
Absolutely, my friend. Is that any better?
No, now you're staticky.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Whoa, what was that? Now speak again.
You gotta be kidding me, I said.
You're staticky. Yeah, you're really staticky.
God almighty.
I don't know which is worse out of the two. I would leave it up to. It's tough to decide which is worse. I raised your volume and it didn't do anything. So I don't know. You can come back and come in. I don't. It's not your fault. I didn't test it. I gave you like a real. Chaka Cone says. I want to say Chaka Khan because I love them both. I love Chaka Cone and Chaka Khan. So sometimes I hiccup on it. The Rust story is currently playing out in Alec Baldwin's New York City apartment. Yes, it is. I say this all the time Dan Schneider and his wife. God damn it, that could be a trial coming up. By the way, the Dan Schneider suing the production of Quiet on Set, and that could very well be televised. I hear that's possible. And I always say, like, the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, Alec and Hilaria, Dan Schneider and his dopey fucking hungry girl grifter, she must be raging at him. Her brand is supposed to be this, like, wholesome family-oriented brand that has to destroy us. And it's kind of gotten out that, and she does not promote that she's his wife. And I can't wait to see where that goes. But like Chaka Khan says, what goes on in that Baldwin household? And we're going to get a reality show out of it. And you got to wonder if the reality show will do anything of the sort with Rust, unless there's a gag order on all. I bet you there is. I bet you there's a legal gag order. Okay. It's not. Okay, let's try this again with G Canada. G.
Hey, man, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now. I think you're good.
Oh, are you kidding me? Finally?
Yeah, now you're good.
Okay, so that's the 4 set of headphones that I've tried today. And these ones are like 1,000 years old. Go figure they're the only ones that work.
Sometimes
properly.
the older ones are the best. Yeah. Put like a piece of duct tape on it, and so you know those are the ones. No, seriously, I mean that's what I do.
Yeah, I'll do something with it. But yeah, sorry, before I was saying I get the Travis Fimmel guy and the other guy mixed up all the time. I don't know why, but the one was in the Viking show. Yeah, they're 2 Australian guys that are blonde hair, blue eyed, and good looking. They all look the same to me, man.
The best actors are from Australia these days, it seems like. Bon Jovial being one of them.
Yeah, the hottest chicks are still from Canada.
Hold on a second. And personality. There's nothing better than a Canadian chick. They're this weird cool factor that they don't abide by the superficial crap that American chicks do in a lot of ways. I don't know what it is. There's something going on up there. They're just a superior species, in my opinion. You included, sir. You included.
If you look around, you don't realize how many girls in Hollywood are actually Canadian. Like if you do the
I look at it all the time. I look at it all the time. I'm always looking at
anybody can do a Google search and just say like top 50 hottest Canadians, and you'll realize half the women in Hollywood. Well, they don't have to teach us how to speak either. I mean, we don't have those weird East Coast accents like you have, and all the different Southern accents and all that stuff. We just talk like normal people.
Do I sound like I have a Long Island accent?
Absolutely none at all, which has always surprised me with you guys. You got, you don't. I go over to Buffalo all the time, and people will talk with that heavy East Coast accent. I mean, it's a 15-minute drive from here. I never understood why that happens, but it is what it is.
I'm kind of jealous of you because you're like right in the middle of Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo, or what's the other city?
If you haven't ever been to Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo, there's nothing really. I haven't
been there. I was in Cleveland once on my way to Murray State. We stopped to eat.
They're all Rust Belt cities, and I mean, 100 years ago, they were all extremely populous and just economic engines, and now they're not, right? I mean, Detroit's maybe 3 hours from me, Cleveland the same, Buffalo's a half hour. An hour to Toronto, an hour to Hamilton. So I'm right in the middle of.
That's seriously cool. That's a lot of shit. If you, as a sports fan in Canada, do you root for any of the American teams?
No, of course not. I mean,
I did. You're a Raptors fan, and
when I was a kid, like everybody, because I was a white guy. I watched Boston play, right, because it had Bird and McHale and everybody on it.
Right,
that was my team. Yeah, that was my team until the Raptors came about, right? But no, I'm a Montreal Canadian.
That's why there's so many Laker and Celtic fans, because they were the only fucking teams national TV would show in those years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all we got. You had CBS Sports or whatever, and the game of the week was always Boston versus whoever, right?
Yes, and it was always LA on the other side.
Yeah, and we didn't get anything else.
But I read this interview with David Stern, and he goes, and I used to blame him for this, and it's not his fault. He said that he wanted to promote the whole league, and he wanted all the teams on, and he said that CBS wouldn't go for it, and CBS submitted to him a list of acceptable teams that they would broadcast. That's how manipulated it was.
Well, there was also a great lack of TV channels back then. I mean, we forget, it was. Since I got, I was in between Buffalo and Toronto, I got channels from both places, which was a lot. But, from Buffalo, we got NBC, CBS, ABC, and then Fox, right? But bad. Really, there wasn't much more on top of that. There wasn't places for all these games to go. Yeah, they had their, what we were going to put on every night at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, that set schedule that they fought it out with. And they were never going to replace that with basketball or hockey or whatever, right? They had Monday Night Football, and that was about it. I think it was on, ABC back then?
Yep.
When we were kids, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, we got that, but they were never going to replace the rest because they wanted it to be family-oriented, I think.
Yep.
Where they wanted mom and dad and the kids to sit down at 8 o'clock and maybe even 9, and then at 10, the kids would go to bed and they put something racy on, like Law and Order, that was the big thing at 10
Like
o'clock.
Jag with Catherine Bell.
Oh, my goodness. Wasn't she the hottest thing on the face of the planet when we were growing up?
Star, yes. So underrated.
Oh, my God.
I thought she would have made a great Wonder Woman if they made a Wonder Woman movie back in those days, like in the early 2000s or something.
She had, oh, jeez, absolutely perfect body, man, and a gorgeous
As
face.
do you, G. As do you.
Oh,
that's somebody you got on you.
I'm fat and old, dude. I've been this way for a while now. Yeah, somebody's lying to you then. Talk to my wife. She'll tell you I'm fat and old. She's just waiting for me to die so she can go on with the pool boy like Beef.
That's so morbid. Johnny Bye Bye says Amber Heard definitely sent in G Canada to fuck things up. That's so hot.
Oh. Third husbands unite.
She's perfect.
No justice for Amber. UK court got it right. All those
we may
things,
be
man.
At some point. Oh, that's right. Sunflower's the Canuck as well. We may be sorry. We may be sorry at some point, but we can now hear G Canada. The reality show will ruin them. Says she's talking about the streams.
No, I know, but see what I'm talking about. Sunflower's hot too. It's just the Canadian girl thing, right?
It is, and I think the Canadian thing ups your hotness points 2 points at least on the scale. Shaka Khan seems like she should be a Canadian. I feel like she should be. She deserves to be Canadian. The reality show will ruin them. It will be the death nail. You might be right, Shaka. You might be right. She's a super talented contributor. When you have her on, she's never been on Gunk in full, but she's always like does call-in stuff. Just a super mimic and voiceover person and stuff, all the right ways. And most importantly, has shared a classroom with Dustin Gwen Aoki, HT
I believe she was the one who did the Ray voices when she called in, right?
Yes.
They were absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
She was spectacular. Howard! Oh my God, everybody was rolling, man, when she kept calling in with Ray. Where's Howard? Oh, it was, and she had that East Coast accent down to a T. It was
Shaka
beautiful.
Khan goes, I don't know about that. Eh?
Yeah, sure she doesn't.
Philly Venmo, thank you so much. Is that Philly 29 we're talking about, Sarah? We love us some Philly 29. He's such a mensch. He doesn't even seek attention for it. He reached out to me, and so did G Canada a lot during the depths of my depression, which is not. Don't get fooled by this. I'm having a decent day, and I'm trying to capitalize on it to practice. And so, yeah, Philly 29 with like a generous. He goes, if you want to get away from everything, come to Chicago. And G Canada sent me all these lovely messages. He might be a ball buster, and he plays the role shtick of a dick, but he's a mensch. G Canada is, as you can imagine, he's from Canada.
You have nothing to be sorry for, man. You just get healthy, and you know what? With all the pleasure you've given us over the years, with all the laughs, with all the hours you've put into entertaining us, we're the ones who owe you an apology for not being there more for you. I swear to God. That's the way I feel, man.
It's a great community and group here, and I don't know. Yeah, it was really galvanizing at the lowest point. It really was.
And you sucked me in. You sucked me into that first trial. I still don't give a flying F about Johnny, about Amber, about any of them. But you sucked me in so bad to that trial when I was sitting here during the days, because I work like afternoons and nights, and I've just got the headphones on during the days. I couldn't stop listening to you. And you were just by yourself, and it was phenomenal. It was an amazing feat of broadcasting during that first trial. It was spectacular, and that's why I was
I have is I was so new to the streaming stuff. Like I didn't know how to navigate it. I'm not a morning person, so I'm just like it's like the first words I spoke, and I don't know why anybody would do like morning radio. If I would make 1/3 the money if I just didn't have to do like who cares what the advertisers are. It's such a bad energy in the morning. It's so stupid.
I'm full of morning people in my life, and I want to strangle the life out of them.
I know. Me
Like,
too.
it's unbelievable. My wife, my dad, growing up, he's got this big smile on his face at 6 o'clock in the morning. Gotta get on with the day, and I'm just like, leave me alone. Let me go back to bed. Oh no, you got a hockey practice. I don't care. And then I marry a woman who's the exact same way, and it drives me insane. The two of them, we used
to have arguments with our coach. And I had the argument, I'd say, our basketball coach would say, all we do, our games, when it counts the most, is all at night in the afternoon. Why are we practicing at 10 a.m.? The circadian rhythm doesn't make sense. We don't play at 10 a.m. 9 a.m. We play at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Why are we practicing at 10 a.m.? And
exactly.
I won.
Exactly.
I moved it.
But the problem with us was you can only get certain ice times, right? And you had to get ice time in the morning before school. So there was either a 6 o'clock practice or a 7 o'clock practice. For a 6 o'clock practice, you got to be up at 5 a.m. It was terrible. I hated it.
I had this argument all the time. My people don't play hockey. Speaking of my people, look at Tamara Francois, my baby daddy arm. I can tell you how I feel, love you night and day. What a great broad this is. And she's Canadian.
Is she really?
Yes.
Oh, great. Another hot Canadian chick. That's what I'm talking about.
Shaka Khan goes, I'm from Orange County. That's practically Canada. What a rapier wit on that Shaka Khan. She goes, acting class with Dustin Gwen, Aoki. For anyone that doesn't know, I was a noob. Dustin was already a star. By the way, speaking of Jump Street, and they're all like, charismatic, good looking, the whole original cast. He is aged the best. Like, black doesn't crack, as Tamara Francois will attest to here. But Asian don't Asian. This guy, Dustin Gwen, looks better than all of them. He looks like he's 42, and I think he's 62. Go look at him right now. He's on a show doing like extensive martial arts in his 60s and shit. You can't look any better than he does at that age.
I don't even know who he is.
He played Aoki on Jump Street.
Okay, yeah, so there you go. I never watched Jump Street, man. I mean, the closest I've come to it is listening to you talk about it on here.
Have a good day, G-Cannon. See you later. Bye. Nice. Now, you should binge watch it sometime because it's such an innovative. The show, at the time was obviously phenomenal. It's some bad episodes and some cheesy 80s stuff, but damn, when it's good, it was good. And I always say with that show, they should have turned that into like Law and Order for undercover shows. Get off the fucking high school. Stop with the high school stuff all the time. And this Fox is obsessed with staying young, and they wouldn't get off the high school thing. That could have turned into like full blown like DEA undercover stuff, and you could have done anything with it. And they just didn't have the foresight.
But Johnny was gone, though, right? And people were watching it for Johnny. That's the thing. Like, I think they realized
they should have thought ahead of time, G. They should have said, okay, Depp wants by the second season, he's trying to get out, and like just then replace him. I'm not saying he's easily replaceable, but you have to plan for the future. They tried it with Grieco, and they spun him off into Booker, but I would have found some doppelganger to make that go on. If I was there, it would never have been canceled. I promise you.
I guess, man. But that's the thing. I think the writing was on the wall once Johnny was, on his way out, right? I think
he was like difficult, and he tried to sabotage the show. I talk about this all the time. Holly Robinson banged on his trailer door, and she's like, "Motherfucker, we need this job. You got 10 movies lined up with Tracy Jacobs. I need this job. I don't know what's gonna happen." And like, she fucking screamed at him, and I would too. He's like sabotaging the show.
He just didn't care.
Look at my Nubian princess. Where is she? Come on.
Hey, John and Sarah. It's Holly Robinson Pete. How you doing?
David got us that.
Isn't that the woman that's still crabby about it all these years later?
She should be.
Yeah. I don't think she's had a job since. Has she? Has she had a job since?
How out of the loop are you? She's been on like 500 shows since then. Hanging Out with Mr. Cooper was your favorite show? God, I know you people don't watch black shows. She Canada, but Hanging Out with Mr. Cooper.
I watch the NBA all the time.
I know you did. It was more black in the 80s. And this is the last basketball comment I'm going to make. But how is the Celtics that you just brought up? How are they 85% white in a league that's 85% black, unless it's by design? Unless that's the order of business in Boston, in racist Boston.
I really just think that they took the best guys available in the draft.
Oh, really?
They
Brad
drafted most of those
Lohaus,
guys.
Mark
Oh,
Akers.
like he mattered. Like he mattered either.
Why did they draft him? Michael Smith.
Well, also, what's
Jerry
his face
Season?
there? Lenny Bias, right?
Right. He dies.
Yeah.
I said
does
that
cocaine once and keels over.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are as if Len Bias and Reggie Lewis lived.
I was glad to. Yeah, I guess. I was glad to see.
I mean, that's what they expected out of him. What Jason Tatum is what they expected out of Len Bias.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I was glad to see Jaylen Brown get the MVP because he was spectacular.
Him. He's
I thought. What's that?
He's Sarah's black guy crush.
I thought for sure that just because Tatum's Tatum, they were going to give him the MVP. Right? Just because he's Tatum, but the defense that came out of Brown for the playoffs was just unbelievable. Yeah, he was amazing offensively, but his defense was staggering. He won that playoffs for them on defense. I thought
defense is a weird category because it's unquantifiable sometimes. You're sort of like going, what do you mean defense? Is what I'm holding my guy to? Is it steals? Is it blocks? Is it team defense? They need a legitimate analytic to show the fans what it is they're doing. Because you just say defense, and I don't buy it sometimes. We need more.
Yeah, but it's hard.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's hard to quantify, like you said, right? Like it's just watching it and seeing a guy doing things that.
It's not enough for me.
Yeah, it's all it is for me. So I mean, I just recognize it. But we've played basketball. You know what I mean? There's a difference.
That's right. Because I played with dudes who would fake defense. They would throw themselves on the ground, and they would look like they were hustling, but you could score on them anytime you wanted to, and it would fool people into thinking they played defense.
Yeah. Try scoring on Jaylen Brown. Good luck.
If I was 6'8", I would dominate him. Johnny Bye-Bye, when is the Deppening doing a Hump Street? That is going to be Sunday. We're recording the Brad Pitt episode. Big disease. What am I talking about? The best years of your life, about suicide day. And it's really we're coming to the end of season 2 soon. And it's going to be time for Grieco. Season 3, episode 1. It's fun with animals and the debut of Richard Grieco. Ben Benjamin. Hey, G Canada. Have you seen New York Undercover with Stuttering John director Michael DiLorenzo? He directed Stuttering John's movie, by the way.
That's an old show, right? Like maybe from 15 years ago or something?
It was a Jump Street knockoff on Fox, and it followed Jump Street, and it was set in New York, and it was Malik Yoba and Michael DiLorenzo, and they just were two hip cops undercover, and it was considered a black show because they played a lot of hip hop, and it was okay. It's no Jump Street. It was okay.
What was Jump Street's first year? I mean, you'll know this, right? What was the first year they were on?
April 11th, 1987.
Okay, so I was 15.
April 1987, yeah.
Yeah, I was already going to bars by that point, right?
What? So, how are you drinking at 16? What is going on up there?
Geez, never even mind Canada. I was going to bars in the U.S. at that point.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
the border's only 10 minutes away. I used to go to Niagara Falls, New York. They had crazy bars back then. You only needed to be 18 to get in and 21 to drink. So as long as you had a birth certificate, you're good, man.
You got to in Detroit, the drinking age is 13. Johnny Bye-Bye says, Mark Curry hit. Yeah, Mark Curry is the lead actor in Mr. Cooper. He's a comedian that you don't see much anymore. Mark Curry hit that. I heard he got 10 inches. Why are you studying, Johnny Bye-Bye, why are you studying Mark Curry's schwanz? How do you know the anatomy of Mr. Cooper? Huh? And where the hanging comes from now, obviously. And Benjamin, come on, Arm. Celtics had a lot of problems. They had multiple black coaches, yeah. And cancel out, they had Casey Jones coach. Not enough. Smith and Brad Lohaus, you have a lot of explaining to do. It's got to be by design. I don't care what anybody says. The league 85% black. And how about the wide receivers of the Patriots? You think that's by design?
I'm not a big football guy, man. I don't watch football at all.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I'll tell you what happened. And I met my wife, 28 years ago, and she said, I don't care if you watch hockey. I love hockey. We can watch that. Baseball and basketball are the same. No problem. Whatever. Watch them when you want. But she said, football, I hate. I hate football. I never want to watch it. And Sundays are mine. And I figured, well, I'm going to be with this woman long enough to, get in her pants, and probably a few weeks after that. And, that's fine. It was like the end of football season anyway. What do I care, right? I met her in, I don't know, February or something. So I figured by the time football season started, she'd be long gone. 28 years later, I still haven't watched football in 28 years. I'm not even joking.
That's the most romantic, chauvinistic thing I've ever heard in my life. You're capitulating to your wife like a great husband would, and then you say, all I want to do is get in her pants. At the same time, you couldn't have been more romantic and chauvinistic all at the same time. I've never heard that in my life.
There you go, man. I'm a Canadian. It's a dichotomy.
Johnny Bye Bye, funny story about, so he's talking about there was a porno in the late 80s, early 90s called 21 Hump Street. And so the video store that I told you about with Private Resort, the Depp movie, so that was in the porn section, and I see it, and it's like they cut off the top, and they're putting handcuffs on someone in a high school, and it's like obviously a prelude to sex. And I'm looking at the thing, and I had to, all things Jump Street. Do I rent this porn? And every day I would go into this video store and I would just bail. I couldn't pull the trigger on it. It was so embarrassing. It was hard enough to rent Private Resort. And I'm looking at 21 Hump Street, and I'm like, I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it. Edward Penis Hands came out right after that, and I never watched it. Maybe today I'll watch it.
And now 50 billion porn movies are free at your fingertips 24/7, right? Things sure have changed.
Big New York Undercover fan, and like Holly Robinson Pete, a huge mastered the language of Francois. Right, Holly?
Hey, John and Sarah, it's Holly Robinson Pete. How you doing?
She majored in French, and she in Jump Street, where she humiliates the French and shows her prowess. The show used to help introduce black acts. Yes, she's right. Tamara Francois is right on the money. They would show, like Jump Street did, a current musical act at the end of the show in a jazz club, I believe. And they had great soundtrack on that. Kind of adorable. I remember hearing LL Cool J's "Round the Way Girl" start the show off. She's just honest, man. That's Sunflower Dragon. That's most men. And then she says, "I hate men." Arm, I was shocked. And she was. Leslie Easterbrook is from Police Academy. She plays like just the hot blonde that Hanson that Depp is lusting after, and Rob Morrow as well. Very briefly, the hottest chick in the whole movie is the chick with the Swami hat on, who is like with Rob Morrow at the end. She's the hottest chick in the whole movie. Very underrated.
How do you remember this stuff? Like, you're talking about movies that you saw 35 years ago, and you still remember it. I can't remember anything. But granted, I was stoned during most of these movies, and you probably weren't. But I can't remember anything.
I watched Private Resort 8 months ago.
Oh, okay. So that's a little different.
It came out in 85, and I watched it again 8 months ago. I mean, I can't go a year without it. So with that said, here is the preliminary trial. Alec Baldwin Rust. He's not here. It's all the lawyers talking about it. I want to give everybody an orientation. We're going to stop it as we need to, if we need to, and you're allowed to comment during it. It is just, it might be a little flat, but we'll try to spice it up. I need to practice while we do this.
Is D10122024000013, State of New Mexico versus Alexander Ray Baldwin. Parties state their name.
Carrie Morrissey and Erlinda.
Okay, she is the prosecuting trial, and she did a phenomenal job during the Gutierrez. She is taking this on as well. Really, really strong lawyer. And I think she's the head prosecutor in New Mexico. Real, like, high-end stuff.
Ocampo Johnson on behalf of the state of New Mexico.
And good morning, Your Honor. This is Alex Spiro. I'm joined by Luke Nikas, John Bash, Sarah Clark, and of course, Heather LeBlanc on behalf of Mr. Baldwin again.
All right, thank you.
Doesn't it
All right,
look like
so we'll start with the defendant's expedited motion for court order excluding defense witnesses.
Welcome, Brendan.
Go ahead.
We have just one technical issue, which is Mr. Bash has not been allowed into the hearing. If he could be allowed in. Thank you. I see Mr. Bash has joined. Ms. LeBlanc will be handling that motion on behalf of the defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I will be arguing this first motion.
Like
so I know that the court has obviously reviewed the motions of the parties. I do want to very briefly, though, put into the record right now for the court the time.
You've seen the judge and you've seen her. This is not a collagen trial. This is the Alec Baldwin Rust trial. The judge looks very soporific and sleepy. It's the same judge, by the way, as the Hannah Gutierrez trial. When it got to the closing, she reamed her out and shocked the shit out of me because I just didn't think she had it in her. And she just looks like she's gonna, she's just on the 19th hole of an 18-year-old career, and she just flattened Hannah Gutierrez in the closing. I couldn't believe it. I did not think she had it in her.
Line again, with respect to various filings that have taken place with respect to this motion, because I do think they are important for the court's consideration. The first is that there was a deadline for witness list disclosure that was issued by the court, and that deadline was May 6th. On May 6th, both the state and the defense filed witness lists that added new witnesses. The state added 8 witnesses, and the defense added 9, and this was on the same day. Now, later this same day, the state inexplicably files a motion basically claiming that the defense has untimely disclosed these 9 witnesses and that we have been engaging in sandbagging by adding these 9 additional witnesses, again, keeping in mind that they had just added 8 of their own on the same day. Now, the defense does not reciprocate. We don't file any motions claiming that they've been sandbagging or that they've done anything improper because both parties have, in fact, complied with the court's order and filed their motions by May 6th. Now, on May 21st, we respond and we point out the absurdity of the state's position and of their request. On May 31st,
I should point out, Alec tried to have the case thrown out, I think twice, and they rejected it. And I was nervous he wouldn't be able to get to stream this. And it looks like it's a go. And the last I heard, it's going to be July 31st, somewhere in late July, early August at the latest. But it's about a month from now. And I think Alec he's never had a Hampton summer ruin like this because he was off.
I'm sorry.
I
thought it was early in July, like July 14th or July 13th, something like that.
I hope it is, but the last update I got, it was late July. It doesn't matter. It's a couple weeks.
Maybe they pushed it back a bit. Yeah.
They always do. It's never never earlier. They always
especially with a high profile. They're probably going to have to get security and all that kind of stuff again. It's going to be bonkers.
That's a good question. Security on this? I wonder what they're going to need for that. I mean, the last thing Alec Baldwin wants to do is go back to New Mexico with the brood. I don't think the brood's going to come with him, but Hilaria needs those fucking cameras. And she's definitely going to be there.
Well, isn't she starting a new...
The state files a reply.
A reality show?
And in their reply, they
could follow them there. Follow them there. It'd be great drama.
Of our 9 witnesses who we listed on the deadline of May 6th.
I think Ellen Levine told me that.
Now, at 6:52 p.m. on May 31st, that Friday, the state also files a notice of completion of briefing, which is basically informing the court that the matter is ready to be heard. There's no withdrawal of the motion. They are still maintaining their position and their request that our 9 witnesses should be excluded, the ones that we filed on May 9th.
Oh, my Heather LeBlanc over here.
Now, at this point, the defense is aware that we have 8 days that were scheduled for trial. And with 8 days scheduled for trial, the state at this point has listed nearly 50 witnesses.
You hear that, everyone? Let's get just a statistical rundown. She is firm, A. Smith. You're right. 8 days, this trial. My guess is as these tend to do, Sunflower Dragon would know, they tend to take Friday off a lot in these trials. And I'm trying to remember the Gutierrez trial. I think they were backed up, so they didn't take Friday off. So they'll go Monday. Here's what I think. They're going to do 2 weeks. It's going to be Monday to Thursday for 2 weeks. She said, what did she say, 30 witnesses or something?
I thought you said 50.
50?
Yeah. That's why I was surprised at that many, but I could have been wrong.
For trial. And with 8 days scheduled for trial, the state at this point has listed nearly 50 witnesses.
50, you're right, G.
And the defense had 26 that were listed on our list as well.
So Alex got 26.
Now we know that there's no way that we could get through 76 witnesses in 8 days. It's not possible. And so trial is fast approaching. And so the defense recognizes we need to start preparing for trial. We need to start putting these resources where they need to go and be working toward trial rather than investigation. We have to switch gears. So acting in good faith and knowing the state's position with these motions that we've now filed and briefed over the course of the past month, the defense reviews the case and then makes a strategic decision that we can cut down our witness list significantly. And we proceed to file on Sunday, which was June 2nd, a written notice that we are withdrawing nearly half of our witness list. And so we consent to an exclusion of 5 of the 9 witnesses that the state has requested be excluded through their motion. And
anyone who, and I'm not saying anything profound here, but I'm trying, I think I'm legally, I think I'm enhanced legalese wise. And a lot of the stuff I've been immersed in the last 5 years or so. And that's John O'Reilly of the world and the Sunflower Dragon in there definitely help a lot. But I think you'll agree with me, G. Canada, when I say like a Toronto Blue Jays lineup with Barfield and George Bell and Damaso Garcia. It's when you have your witnesses, it's set up a lot like a batting order. And you, like a coach would do, is, well, this guy's a lead off and this guy hits cleanup and we're going to end with this. And it's really how you, I didn't realize that's how witnesses are done, where you're trying to make an impression and you deliberately put them in a certain spot, like a batting order. And that's, go ahead, I'm sorry.
My thing is, how many of them are going to be gun experts? Because if they start bringing in actual gun experts, they are going to bury Baldwin in a heartbeat. And there's lots of reasons why.
The Gutierrez trial, there were a ton of gun experts.
Yeah, and it will absolutely bury Baldwin. I mean, we can go into all the reasons why whenever you'd like, but I'll tell you, there's so many different reasons why he is going to be hung out to dry with what he did there. It's not even funny. And the first thing that anybody learns when it comes to handling firearms, the very first thing is once somebody gives you that gun, it doesn't matter what happens. As soon as you take it from them, as soon as you pick it up off the ground, as soon as you pick it out of a safe, that is your responsibility. That gun is yours. You said that because
that was so much the narrative of the Gutierrez trial was exactly what you just said. It's a lot of that speak back and forth with the gun experts and the armor and stuff. But he's the producer. He makes all the money. It's his responsibility. He has to know everything on set. He was rushing. If anyone doesn't know what happened, he was trying to. So he gets all. Because he has a producer credit, he wants to get this thing in the can, because he stands to gain the most from it. So he's rushing through scenes. And this girl, I don't feel sorry. She's a Nepo baby in the armor business. Her dad was an armorer, Hannah Gutierrez. And her dad was at the trial. And he's like an older, she's 27 now. And she was 24. And they just crowbarred her onto the set. She's no business doing it. Like her first major project. And she's like kind of arrogant and intimidated at the same time. And he's barking orders and he's rushing scenes. And eventually I think she's just like, whatever, just take the gun. I don't care. And she's rolling her eyes and shit. And her optics are horrible. When you watched her, if anyone goes back and watches the Gutierrez trial, and the optics are everything to the jury, as I've learned. Everything. Depends on the judge's Wednesday off. Yeah, she's right. Sunflower's right. The Trump stuff with the hush money in New York, they had Wednesdays off. So I'm going to say Friday.
None of that matters at all, whether he's busy, whether he's this, whether he's that, because the first thing that you're taught when you handle guns is that gun automatically becomes your responsibility.
Yep.
It's not anybody else's problem. It doesn't matter if they handed it to you loaded, empty, with blanks, without blanks, whatever. You're supposed to check.
Yep.
You get that gun, and I believe it was an old-fashioned wheel gun, right? That ended up so what his responsibility is to point this thing at the ground, to pop out the cylinder, and to identify what he has in the cylinder, whether they're blanks, whether they're live rounds, whether there's anything in the cylinder at all. He has to look at that right away. That is your responsibility as soon as somebody hands you the gun. And then
did I choose the right guy? You know, that's exactly. It's amazing. This is exactly the dialogue that went on in the Gutierrez trial.
And then the second thing is you don't ever point it at something that you're not ready to kill.
Yep.
So you know what the gun is, you know how it's loaded, and you don't ever point it at somebody. So he did absolutely everything wrong, and he should have taken. I mean, before anybody goes into a movie or whatever, anybody should be sat down and you've put them through. And I mean, I don't know how they don't do this for insurance purposes. They put you through a gun handling and a gun safety course. They take a day. Right? They would supposed to take a day and teach you these things and many more. But the first two is, as soon as you get it in your hands, it's your responsibility, not anybody else's. You cannot blame what happens with that gun on somebody else once you pick it up.
Welcome, Cindy Lou Who. Well said, G Canada. Amen, sister. Let me ask you this before we get back to this broad. This bothered me all throughout the Gutierrez trial, and I was like talking to myself watching the trial and screaming at the TV like my people do in movie theaters. Why do you need anything resembling a real gun potential? Why don't they have just fake guns that don't even come close to firing? Why do you need blanks and shit? With all the special effects, why do you need anything resembling a real gun? Why even put yourself in the position? With these stupid, they have like real guns. Why? Who's going to notice? You? What? 2% of the film's going to notice that it's not some. What's the name of the gun they use again? We got the Winchester 875. Who's going to notice? Why do they even use anything close to a real gun? It's so stupid. They waste so much money on shit.
I have seen movies where they use guns that they're supposed to be semi-autos and they don't eject. Spent casings after they fire, blah, blah, blah. And I think it looks ridiculous when they add it after. I do, but I mean, maybe somebody else wouldn't have that feeling who doesn't know as much about guns or whatever, right? But I think it looks absolutely false. I can't even watch a movie when they do that fake gun stuff. There's no kickback on the gun. But I mean, when somebody's pointing and shooting, there should never be anybody in front of them. Okay, like the way you film it,
everything. That's everything.
So they're shooting a live gun, they're shooting it with blanks, whatever, but there's nobody in front of them. They can film it, so there's nobody in front of them, right? Like that's the thing.
That's the gist of the whole trial, G. You nailed it.
The second rule is don't aim that at something you don't want to kill. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's a piece of paper. You got to be willing to kill that piece of paper, right? So you don't pick up the gun, and you don't check it, and then you're aiming it at people. He is guilty, man. He is guilty.
Well, how does the armorer go to jail at 24 and he bears numbers? He's the producer. How could he possibly be exonerated from this? I don't want to jump ahead, and I don't want to predict because it could blow up. If one juror finds him innocent, I guess I'm not sure if it's best of or if it's a clean sweep from the jurors in New Mexico. I got to remember how that went. I think it's everybody has to be on the same page. But I don't know. I don't know how he gets exonerated. I don't understand. If the armorer is guilty, I can't tell you how many people from the set are suing the production, and probably him because I think he has the most money.
How much money does he have? Because you seem to know about all these figures and that.
There's a show called 30 Rock.
Yep.
And he had producer status on this. And I don't know exactly what it is, but that show was syndicated up the asshole. It was successful when it ran. And he probably makes money akin to what say Ricky Gervais got off The Office. He didn't create 30 Rock, but he might as well have. His character's supposed to be like Lorne Michaels, and it's like this shitty. It's not. It's like a parody of what life behind the scenes at Saturday Night Live is, and Tina Fey is a co-creator, and Tracy Morgan is in it, and Alec Baldwin's like the star. I mean, he's like kind of why you're watching, and he's got a major executive producer status on it.
So has he got 100, 150 million? You know, what's his celebrity net worth?
I bet he has about 100 mil.
So everybody's going to come after him for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the one with the money, right?
Yep.
I heard he transferred some of it over to Hilaria houses and whatnot in preparation for this. I actually heard that he did transfer a lot of stuff out of
they're
his name.
laundering like George Jefferson cleaners right now and trying all these different things. You're absolutely right. I said hi to Sunny Lou, right? Hooper 45. Welcome, sir. Good to see you as well. I had something to say. Let me get back to this. Chaka Khan had a great comment.
So we send a courtesy copy to the state of our notice of our intent to withdraw those witnesses. And we also send a new witness list to the state. Less than 3 hours after we sent those copies to the state, after the state now has this insight into defense strategy, and while the state had just hours before still been standing on their motion that our witnesses should be excluded, the state turns around and less than 3 hours later files an amended witness list, adding witnesses that they still have a pending motion to exclude. That motion is still pending, and yet they file an amended witness list adding witnesses that they are still seeking to exclude per their motion. The next morning, then, the state files a notice that they are withdrawing their motion. All of a sudden, there's no prejudice. All is well. All of these things that the state had declared to the court that they would suffer as prejudice by the defense's disclosure of these witnesses on May 6th is now no more. And in fact, they want to go ahead and add some of the witnesses to their own witness list. So we find ourselves, Your Honor, in the absurd position where the state has sought exclusion of witnesses by motion. And this is not through discussion. This wasn't correspondence through emails, through phone conversations where the state says, we think you should pull these witnesses. This is through motion practice. They have represented their position to the court, and they've represented their position to the defense. And they've notified the court, this matter is now ready to be heard because it is completely briefed. And yet within mere hours of getting a look at the defense strategy, the state tries to walk back their motion. Now, obviously, there are rules of criminal procedure that are in place. There are criminal procedure rules that govern time for filing, that govern various procedures throughout this process.
Does she really think they're going to throw it out by her just right now? Does she really think the judge, oh, you're right. You know what? We fucked up. You're right. You're right. You got us. We're throwing it out. Thank you, A. Smith, once again. Thank you, A. Smith. Does she really believe that? They're just going to throw it?
They always have to ask.
They have to try,
put it out there, right? Like, and if they don't put it out there, then they're, they could say maybe they were incompetent or something like that, but they always have to try. I mean, every opening, any good lawyer is going to peck away at it, right? Like, there's going to be, there's no doubt.
And she's billing for it, which is most important.
Yeah. And if they're not a good lawyer, then they're not pecking away at it. But I mean, a lawyer and Sunflower or what's his name? John O'Reilly. Yeah, Johnny O. They'll tell you, any good lawyer worth his salt, people know the difference, right? I mean, when they're in, that's what makes them good lawyers more than anything else, is that attention to detail. The most minute thing that they can pick up that somebody else might miss might lead to a mistrial, or even after, you can put it out on appeal, especially if you've brought it up in court. You might be able to appeal it, and you might be able to get some appeal judge to toss it after, based on a small technicality, and that's what good lawyers do. They peck away at it, and that's why good lawyers are very wealthy, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact, yes. And I think, I'll say this again, I think just as important as any skill, you have to have charisma, and you have to be believable, and you can't teach that in any law school. I don't care who you are. There's some really icky motherfuckers who probably think they know it backward and forward, but the jury looks at them and just goes, I just don't trust this guy. He's just some vicious son of a bitch. I just don't believe anything he says. I don't care what he knows. I don't care how many years he went to law school. I don't care what firm he works for. I just fucking don't trust him. I don't believe him. And that's all that matters. Optics and charisma are more important almost than the knowledge of the law in some ways, to me.
And a friend of my parents was a pretty big time lawyer here in Southern Ontario. And when you were at his house, he could have 30 people around, say at Christmas time. But when he started talking, there's everybody's drinking, they're eating, they're having a great time. When everybody started talking, when he started talking, everybody stopped what they were doing and stopped whoever they were going on with, and they all turned and looked at him. I can remember being a kid and being mesmerized by this. Everybody else was watching him. I'm thinking to myself, how does he do this? Right. How does he get everybody to stop in an instant and realize that now everybody is looking at him, everybody is listening to him. He's captivating. It's kind of like you when you get going on these trials, it really is. But it's also, a skill.
For every one of that guy, there's someone who's not captivating, and they low talk. And I see him all the time when I watch trials and shit on Law and Crime or Court TV, whatever. I'm going, how did this guy even? And I'm sure there's got to be some like mock trials but some of these dudes like low talk and they have no presence, and they're going, how did this guy even get to? And the jury's like falling asleep. You got to keep them entertained when they're there. Not what do they get? $40 a day or something like that, if they get paid at all.
For every guy like him, for every lawyer like him who could captivate, there's 20 that can't.
Right.
And they do real estate, or they do
they never
wills.
Leave. Right. Yep.
They do wills all day long. They do whatever, right? But they're not in a courtroom because that's not what they do. They do corporate law where they just write contracts. Guys like him are special because it takes a lot of intelligence to get into law school. You have to work hard, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have any personality.
No, it doesn't.
Even less personality. Yep. Because they've spent so much time just with their nose in books. They might have less personality than your average person.
Yep.
Right? And they've been secluded. And when you get that one lawyer, man, like I said, I was maybe 10 or 11, and I'm sitting there going, how does this guy do this? How does he get everybody to stop on a dime and listen to everything that he says?
It's like what I say about Shuley in comedy, right? I don't care how much you want it. I don't fucking care what your dreams are. Fuck your dreams. I don't care how much stand-up you think you did. Nobody cares. You have no charisma. You're icky. Everybody hates you. Give it up. Drop dead. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter how many monologues you do in the mirror. It doesn't matter how many fucking shows you do at 2 a.m. in Pittsburgh. Nobody cares. Everybody hates you. Drop dead. Kill yourself. Don't.
I put in my dues. I paid my dues. I worked all the. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You just
gotta have some. You have to have it. He has the shit factor. You have to have something going on. People want to see. When you have zero charisma, get off the stage.
Yeah,
Chaka Khan, another great comment. Thank you, G. Great rant by you. Chaka Khan says, this is great. And this broad really knows the industry, and I'm glad Chaka Khan's looking out for us. Sets get away with a lot of shit in New Mexico. It's like the Wild West. Tons of non-union work. She's so right. Tax rules, that was an issue during the Gutierrez trial, Chaka. They talked about a lot of and I believe Hannah Gutierrez was non-union, and they were trying to go on the cheap because the entire production is $7 million. Thank you for that comment. Cindy, ready? I'm going to go back to this.
And these rules presume that the parties will operate in good faith. They assume, in particular, that the prosecutors will follow their ethical duty, which is to seek justice, rather than to simply secure conviction at all costs. But however, there are times when rules are not sufficient, where perhaps the party is manipulating the court system.
Sarah had me do this. I forgot to do this. I'm sorry, everyone. I need to do this because I had this put in. She actually wrote this in a chat, and I recorded it as Depp. What did I do with it? Come on. Why do I always stumble when I look for this thing? I know I incorporated it into the... Come on. I put it on as a shit. Alec, that's not it.
Guess who? Howdy.
I'll look for it. It's just QR code. Hit the like and subscribe button and all that stuff. And if you want to pause for the cause and donate something, I really would appreciate it for keeping the pirate ship afloat, as the cliches go on this. But I did some kind of depth kind of voiceover for this. I don't know what I did with it. I had it set up right here. God damn it. How could I?
You're going to have to free ball it, buddy, and do your depth voice and spit it out.
And in those times, the court has to look to other doctrines in order to ensure the integrity of the judicial system. And so we look for evidence of manipulation in the court system. And we can do that by looking at the first filing that the state had, where they moved to exclude the witnesses in this case. And in their motion to exclude, again, which was filed on May 6th, the same day that both parties filed their additional witness lists, the state lists out in details the prejudice that they will suffer. They say, even though
Dearest.
I got it right here. Ready? So this, I got just because I hyped it too much, I got to play this. Ready?
Go.
Let me turn off the. Let me get rid of. I'm always leaving the damn thing. Thank you, A. Smith.
I feel like I should be Sarah and tell you to close the stuff on
Deppening
the screen
faithful,
before you.
if able, please. Dearest, Deppening faithful, if able, please donate via Cash App and Venmo, or the QR code, or the Super Chats, or become a member. You can also join us at patreon.com/Wino forever. Have a great weekend.
Depp really cares about your weekend. I don't think he knows what day of the week it is. What do you think about that, G? I don't think Depp knows what day of the week it is.
He doesn't know which penthouse he's at, man. Come on.
Chaka Khan says Baldwin has 1 million kids and a crazy wife. Good luck, motherfucker. Okay, ready? Back to the trial. I mean, a preliminary here.
I don't hear anything, Arm.
Oh, did I not? Do I have to re-add it?
I didn't hear anything at all, man.
That's so bizarre. Thank you, G. Thank you. So when I played the video, it bumped out the stream. That hadn't happened last time. Sorry about. Thanks, G. Sorry about that.
State had, where they moved to exclude the witnesses in this case. And in their motion to exclude, again, which was filed on May 6th, the same day that both parties filed their additional witness lists.
We do have.
The state lists out in details the prejudice that they will suffer. They say, even though we filed by the deadline,
she agrees.
They point out to the court, there's only 8 weeks. We're only 8 weeks away from trial. The defense, by adding these additional witnesses, they
hold on, help me out, G. She's claiming 8 weeks away. So where are we? We're in June. We're talking mid-August for this?
I thought it was mid-July. That's what I heard, but I'm not sure.
They always bump it up. It's always delayed. Always. This isn't so bad. It's not like a Trump trial. This is 8 weeks. So it's 2 months from right now, right? So that we'll call it mid-August?
I guess, yeah, that would be about right.
The hottest point of the year. Imagine being in New Mexico in mid-August. What is it, 115 degrees? Holy
dude,
shit.
with humidity here, it was 109 degrees yesterday. I'm not even joking.
North. How is it you're so north?
It was the last day of, I've told you before, we just have winter and summer. It was the last day of spring. Whenever it was either yesterday or 2 days ago. It's been above 100 all week with the humidity. And it was 109 on the last day of spring. 109. I'm not even joking. I sent you a picture of it wherever. Because I laughed. I said, Arm's got to see this. And I sent you a picture of it. It says 109. In New York City, it says 80 and then 80 with the humidity. So we were 29 degrees hotter.
I would like to look at a map of New Mexico from last year and see what it was in mid-August, what they're up against.
Yeah, it's a dry heat, though.
Yeah, right. But that's what was that joke that Dennis Miller told? That joke goes, everybody's first words in Arizona is, but it's a dry heat. Barbara DeRush, that is out. That is one of his lawyers. You're looking at right now, I believe. So he probably has a team. He probably has 3. I guarantee it. His lawyers keep working. He's constantly getting sued or suing someone. And boy, is that paramount to him getting. And he ain't stiffing these lawyers, I'm telling you.
They don't have time to investigate this case. And so the defense is engaging in improper tactic, and we're sandbagging the state. The state is prejudiced. These are their words. These are their terms.
Your words. Your words.
They
Everyone
also note in their motion and make really what are patently false statements.
Oh.
And what they say is that the state has...
Okay, when I hire a lawyer, I might not want to mispronounce patently. She called it Gary Paytonly. You hear that? That's a no-no. Look, I'm not claiming to be George Will over here, but I know we joked all through the Depp trial, right? Yeah, you couldn't say just false. You have to say categorically false or patently false. And she mispronounced patently. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but she's reading from a script. It's not coming from her mind,
it's
right?
unacceptable to get through law school and.
I hear you, but you always, when you're reading things, sometimes you don't read them properly, right? It's more that than it is not knowing the word, I think.
Look, I dropped out of middle school, and I know how to say patently. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to make myself look like that's the thing. Like Depp loves to go. Oh, I dropped out in 11th grade. Michael J. Fox supposedly dropped out of high school, and he's he played Alex P. Keaton, for Christ's sake. That's pretty.
The only reason they let Arm stay in school was because he was on a basketball scholarship in high school. He got to take back.
Well, the only school with middle school basketball scholarships.
Basketball, basket weaving, art, phys ed.
I'm actually a
subjects,
phenomenal home ec student. I'm a very good cook. I got an A+ in home ec.
You're a good cook, yet you eat Costco hot dogs and frozen pizza.
Fine. I'm just staying with Whoppers. Real people. That's how down to earth I am. I can eat hot dogs with. By the way, I should next time we'll do this. I found a picture of a guy celebrating his 56th birthday at Costco. I had a hot dog party. He's not for his kid, himself, and he had all his friends in the same age group having a hot dog party at Costco. That's my dream birthday party.
Well, did you see the one where the guy ate nothing but Costco hot dogs for a week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yes, I wanted to puke my guts out, man. I wanted to puke my guts out. I couldn't believe it. You ever notice how much you burp after a Costco hot dog?
Yes, I do notice.
Oh,
that.
It's disgusting, man. You just burp that garlic up for
Try having
hours
3.
after. Oh, I have many a time. I live in the suburbs, man. Costco's like our go-to. We go there all the time.
At this point, by May 6th, has made all of its witnesses available to the defense for pretrial interviews. That is false. That is not correct. In fact, we had the state's expert witnesses, multiple expert witnesses were actually scheduled to be interviewed after May 6th, and were subsequently interviewed into late May, and then even more recently into June based on some new disclosures that have been had. And so that we had not interviewed all of the state's witnesses despite the representation in the state's motion. In addition, the state also told the court and asserted that pursuant to Rule 5501, the state not only disclosed its witnesses, but also has provided the defense with all witness statements and experts' reports, as well as underlying data and a summary of proposed expert opinions. That is also false, Your Honor, because, and the court will see through different motions that are going to be presented before the court, some of which will come before the court today, and others which we will be submitting to the court later. In fact, that is not true. We had not received numerous expert witness supplemental reports. Those had been withheld from us, including one that was particularly exculpatory.
Exculpatory is a very big legalese word.
That had not been provided.
I love me a good exculpatory. You know what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to have the glossary up here, and I'm going to put the definitions. I want people to learn on the Deppening. I really do. And we always have the vocabulary list. David usually drops a fucking Byzantine at some point, and it can't hurt, right? Gee, just to look up a word. Let me see. I got it right here. Tell me if you...
The Byzantine Empire was a spectacular thing for many years. Let me tell you that.
I mean, he used it like this. I'm putting exculpatory here. He used it like this. This is how David used it. Yes, Sunflower Dragon. Alec owns the corporation. He has a production company, and that's why you see
Maze and an emphatic stroke of Byzantine whimsy.
Not just Byzantine, but emphatic Byzantine, says George Will. Thank you, Hooper. Glad to have you, sir. That's so nice of you. Thank you, Hooper. You owe me a drag race on William Floyd Parkway. Booze versus marijuana. We'll see who is. We're gonna have cops follow us, and we'll see who wins. We're gonna drive.
Well, you're gonna break out the 2003 Accord, take it and line it up against Hooper's.
I'm not gonna ruin the good car on that.
No, his 1989 Dodge Shadow Hooper's got there, and you guys can rack them up.
To the defense. As of the May 6th filing of this motion. There were also statements by the state's other expert, Brian Carpenter, that had not been provided to the defense. And to this date, we have...
Sunflower Dragon has a brilliant idea here. This is how she has the legal mind. She knows how it works. She thinks Baldwin is going to bring his oldest kids and sit them behind them to appeal to the sympathy of the jury. That is a brilliant strategy. I guarantee she's right about that. What do you
lots
think,
of people do that, man. It's unbelievable, right? And it's smart in a way, but still, I went over the rules before, and the reason I chose that picture today for my whatever you want to call it for my face instead is we were trying to teach somebody that exact thing, that you don't know what you have until you actually pick it up and look at it, examine it. One of those guns. And they all look identical. One of them is a pellet gun. Okay, two of them are actual guns, like 9mm P226s. And we were trying to show somebody, me and some friends, that you don't, try to teach somebody gun safety, that you don't know what it is until you pick it up. You have to examine it. You have to look at it, because all three of those look the same. And if you pointed that pellet gun at a police, I guarantee you get your head blown off. Because it's ridiculous how much it looks just like a regular gun, right? But there's all kinds of...
Right, where the cops saw like a BB gun or a pellet gun and they actually shot the guy?
Absolutely. Well, when it looks like that, but when you pick it up, you realize the weight on it is wrong, and you would, check it to see if it's loaded, you'd realize it's a pellet gun, but blah, blah, blah. But that was the whole point of that picture, was to simply show someone that you can never be sure, that you have to, you have to check a gun. You have to pick when somebody hands it to you, when you pick it up, you have to know what you're doing.
That's exactly what this trial is about. What you just said, that is so much to the dialogue that goes on, the weight of it. Yeah, what did I choose the right guy? Kylo says there's a Google site where you can test your microphone. Gee, Kylo Sierra Alpha said that if you want. You sound good though. Whatever you're doing, you're fine.
Is it fine now? This one works, all right?
Yeah, you're fine. I'm just saying, he's just helping out. He's saying, if you want, there's a Google site where you can test your microphone out.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just stick to this one from now on, since I know it actually works, all right?
Welcome, Frank the Tank. G Canada lives in the Florida of Canada. It's humidity trap. Oh, okay.
It's brutal.
He's a Canadian too, Frank the Tank.
Yeah, Frank used to live about 4 hours away from me, but it was, pretty hot there too. It's ridiculous here in summer.
Arbor de Rush is the same. Abs de Rush, same problem.
Yeah.
There's a humidity pocket or something over there.
Yeah, we go to the Caribbean in the summer to get out of the heat. I'm not even joking.
I know. I believe you. 110 in Vegas, says Hooper 45. 110. Great Lakes in the summer is intolerable. Sunflower Dragon, I found a ferret on the street. Oh, no. You're taking in ferrets? Someone's going to heaven. Ferrets. It's like a ferret with a double espresso over here, huh?
As of this day, We have made numerous requests of the state that they provide these statements that have been redacted through an IPRA request that we had done to try to get a hold of different statements from various witnesses and things like that, communications with the state. And so we are in possession of some emails, for example, email correspondence that does indicate that there are opinions of the state's witness, Brian Carpenter, and yet those have been provided to us in a redacted format through IPRA. So we do not have the ability to see the contents of these statements, but we can see that they exist. Now, there are many, many of these documents, and we don't know fully what might be contained within these various email communications and correspondences between the state and their expert witness. And we've asked the state, in compliance with their affirmative duty to provide statements of their witnesses and statements of their experts and opinions of their experts to the defense, we've asked them to provide unredacted copies. And the response has been, you know, you have to go ahead and identify for us which ones it is you need unredacted, and then we'll take a look at it. That's not how this rule works, Your Honor. The rule works that the state has a duty. They have a duty to go and look for and to exercise reasonable diligence to uncover statements and opinions of witnesses and expert witnesses, and they have an affirmative duty to provide those to the defense. And yet they're putting that burden again on the defense.
You will eat a Costco hot dog.
We have also had disclosed to us over 150,000 pages of other documents. We had as late as May 23rd audio recordings that were taken by the state's investigator, Connor Rice, of various witnesses whom the state had listed on its witness list that we had never been provided. And we only received them on May 23rd. And the list goes on, Your Honor. It includes then the state has now filed, as the court is aware, is pursuing use immunity for
Mecca is my Mecca, Sunflower, with the Bucks.
And in accordance with that, they have now provided over 361 recordings for our review.
Cooper's right.
Based on statements that were made by Ms. Gutierrez-Reed. Now, the list.
Miss Gutierrez-Reed is the armorer who got arrested. She's in jail. She's in a New Mexico women's prison. Orange is the new Baldwin. For 15 months, and she is a witness. One has to believe, right, G, that she's getting time off her sentence for doing this.
Dude, I have a huge problem with her being in jail. I really do. Like I said before. I mean,
you know what her
she's
problem
an idiot.
was, G? If you watch the trial, she showed no contrition whatsoever. She was arrogant. She rolled her eyes. She wouldn't own up to anything, and I think that really hurt her in the eyes of the jury, and the judge ripped her a new one for just being completely just shirking responsibility. All she had to do was own a little bit of it. I think she might have gotten off.
Once you do that stuff, you're cooked. If you're not going to show that you played a part in it, and she did play a big part in it, don't get me wrong. But like I said before, once you hand that gun to somebody else, it is their responsibility, right?
That's right.
So she did something wrong, yes, but she wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. Literally and figuratively. You know, she didn't squeeze that trigger. She didn't kill that person. To put her in jail for 15 months is ridiculous. And if you get 15 months, I mean, Sunflower can tell you better than me, but you're going to do a third, maybe 40% of it at most on a first conviction.
Yep.
But if you're going to go into court and be arrogant, then you kind of get what you get. It makes me have less sympathy for her when she acted like that. I didn't see the trial, so I didn't know that part. But if you're going to act like that,
if you feel like going back and watch it, I recommend just to give you like Cliff's Notes, briefing as to what it's going to be. I bet I'm going to say at least 60% similar in terms of the talking points and shit. It's got to be. So a lot of the witnesses are going to be the same. And I think I don't know officially yet, but what do you think? What do you think? She's going to get 8 months shaved off her sentence if she cooperates?
If she got 15 months, she's only doing 5 or 6 to begin with. So they might just pop her out. You know, when did she go to jail? How long ago?
Because Alec was, I want to say 2 months ago.
Yeah, you know what? By the time the trial comes around, they'll release her for cooperating with the
Because
prosecution.
Alec showed virtually no contrition, and he's getting arrogant, and you knew he would, and he thought he was exonerated. He thought they threw the case out, but the district attorneys refiled it again and got it back, and he's pissing everyone off.
Well,
And
he's an
getting
arrogant piece of
That's
shit.
the problem: the hubris and the arrogance.
He is so unlikable. It's not even funny. Even for people from New York City.
He's a super talented actor in many, many ways, and I love a lot of his work. But that hubris and that arrogance is going to be the death of him. And you knew, I mean, what is he? He's 66 now, right? Imagine, I mean, I don't know what the maximum sentence is going to be, but at that age, to go to jail when you have all those kids is, I don't know if Hilaria loves that or doesn't like it, but.
If he gets convicted, he'd probably get a 3 or 4 year sentence. And same thing, you know, he'll do half of it at most, right? And it'll be probably in a minimum or medium security country club-ish type of thing. I guess, you know, in the States with your massive incarceration problem, you can probably pay to go to a better prison. You know, I don't really know how that works, but I can't see them, you know, he's not a risk, right? He's not a, you know, violent offender, so to speak.
I don't know about that with him sometimes. That's funny.
Even though he killed somebody, but, you know, whatever. I just, you know, I think maybe he'll get a 3 or 4 year sentence, which he deserves, and he'll probably do 2 years of it. That's my prediction right now.
That's a funny exchange. His legal team goes, Mr. Baldwin is not a risk. And the other lawyer goes, he killed someone. That's risk. I miss New York. Yeah. By the way, speaking of Costco, what happened to the Costco soft pretzel?
I don't know. We never had those in Canada. We never had those in Canada.
It was the first thing Costco had. They took it off the damn menu. I don't know why. Oh, I love those. They were like the best soft pretzels.
I heard there was a big uproar when they were going to change the price of the hot dogs from $1.50.
There was.
They just left it.
There was. The CEO balked at it. He said, "No, we're leaving it alone. It's going to be like it's our staple."
Loss leader.
I mean, they get people going in there to shop that just want the hot dogs and the food court. And
those stupid things that line up at the end of the, you know, they give away the free samples. They drive me nuts. You can't get around those people. You got like 40 of them in a line waiting to get one tiny little thing that somebody's cooking and that everybody's breathed on the way by. I could never eat something in one of those places. I've never, it's so disgusting. But you can't get by them. It drives me insane, man.
Barbara DeRush, sibilant is a great word, Hooper. Who said it? Kylo said that? Yeah, that's her. She rolls the pretentious S's. Kylo said that. The word is so sibilant. All I hear is as far as
having an attitude when you've killed somebody or when you've, you know, had a hand in killing somebody is brutal. Like I don't even know how bad I would feel every day for the rest of my life if I was the one that handed Baldwin the gun that was loaded that killed somebody. It would destroy a normal person. And you see how arrogant these Hollywood assholes truly are to think that it's about them and not about the families of the victims.
Yep.
You know, like a normal person would be just consumed with guilt on a regular basis that you killed this person and maimed another. You know,
he was during the Gutierrez trial with Helena Hutchins, who gets lost in the shuffle. She was the one murdered, and she's a cinematographer. And Alex tweeting about his podcast during the trial, like utterly awful optics. If you're watching that, just completely sociopathic, arrogant, you know, self-absorbed, you know, the most inane fucking Instagram tweets, and that's got to be. And I know they looked at him during a trial. And Costco, by the way, they get you to come in and you buy a $500 lawnmower.
Oh, I never walk out there without spending $300. Like, when do you ever leave Costco without spending?
That's why the food court remains, because they know you're going to come in and buy something else. Barbara DeRush, that's the funniest thing in the world. Have the drag race at Squabble Lane. That you can't fit a tricycle on Squabble Lane. Could you imagine a drag race? That's so funny.
The restraining order doesn't allow arm anywhere near Squabble Lane. Like, everybody needs to get this straight. He's not allowed within 50 miles of Squabble Lane. He can't even drive into the city next to Squabble Lane.
Sunflower Dragon's right. You can't say argument and not say cogent in front of it too. In trial, you have to put cogent in front of argument all the time. They don't even know what it means. They just say cogent argument.
That sounds good.
It does sound good. That's what they teach you, just to throw these fucking
goes on. There's
qualifier
there's
words
more
in front of it.
that has been disclosed and that continues to come. But these statements that the state has made in their motion as officers of the court are not true. These are factually not true. And so we are prejudiced. And this is why the doctrine of judicial
That's the
estoppel
whole trial,
would come
Hooper.
into play.
Why is there
this
ammunition?
court needs to protect
Who
the
got it?
integrity of the judicial process
Who loaded
and prevent
real ammunition?
manipulation of the court system. And so
How
when
did
the
it
court
get
looks
there?
at judicial estoppel, it's a three-pronged test. The first two of which are part of the main test, if you will, and the
Florida.
third, while not necessary, is actually a part of the test that indicates that judicial estoppel is even more appropriate if that third prong is met. And so I'll go through those with the court now. The first is that the party against whom the doctrine is to be used must have successfully assumed a position during the
Redact
course
this,
of
honey.
litigation. The second is that the first position must be necessarily inconsistent with the position the party later takes in the proceedings. And then finally, while not an absolute requirement, judicial estoppel will be especially applicable when the party's change of position prejudices a party who
Frank
had
Tank. I love you
acquiesced
too.
in the former
I
position.
thought you said I love your mom.
And so we'll start with the first prong.
I can't. My eyes saw it. I love your
With
mom
respect
too,
to the
Frank.
first prong, Your Honor, the state has successfully assumed a position. The state took a position in a motion that witnesses should be excluded, and the defense, after full briefing
notice
of the case
eyebrows,
and in
Melanie.
reliance on that
You're right about
position,
the lips.
the defense then conceded
My people don't
the
notice
state's the relief that the state had sought as to 5 of the 9 witnesses that the state was looking to have excluded. So the state was successful. In its motion, the state tries to indicate that that in fact
A little bit like AOC, Ben Benjamin.
a
you're
party
right.
must have already had the matter adjudicated by the court
is the
in
same
order
cadence
for there to
of
be a successful position that was taken by the court.
I love it.
I'm going to go to the state's motion.
We are. She's going through it.
And so what the state says is that
That AOC is an absolute nut job.
I love it though. You need someone crazy to get change. She's got to be.
is
committed
that
to
this
the
must
cause.
have already been adjudicated by the court in some way through some order by the court. There have been no arguments, is what the
That's
state
right.
says. The state says the record in this case is crystal clear. There were never any hearings or other judicial proceedings in which the state's initial motion to exclude certain defenses was adjudicated by the court. And therefore, their position is that that means that there was no, that we don't meet the first prong. However, that's incorrect, Your Honor. And if the court will look at the case that we cited, and it's Kuchan, which is a 2024 case, the site is 2024 NMCA 032. And when we look at this case in paragraph 14,
According to the sandwich.
the court
Yep,
notes that
reference.
the respondent in
Good
that
one,
case
Frank.
did not successfully argue and therefore assume this position in a motion
Frank,
or
there's no
at
time.
hearing. So the use of the word "or" clearly demonstrates that a party can assume a position either by its
Frank.
argument through a motion
Celebrities usually get away
or
with
also by its
murder.
argument at a hearing. So it's either or. It doesn't have to
Either
be
is-
at a hearing. It can also take a position through argument in a motion. And this is further solidified through paragraph 16 of the same case. In paragraph 16, the court continues and states that the respondent could not be considered to have successfully assumed a position about the nature of the West Track until filing the motion for partial summary judgment. It doesn't say until argument of the motion. It says that
right,
upon filing of the motion for partial summary judgment, that is the moment at which the respondent could be considered to have successfully assumed a
I
position.
agree, Sunflower.
And that is what the
EO
state did in this
Costco.
case. They assumed a position
The epitome
in the
of
motion that
EO.
they filed, both the
Right.
primary motion and then also their responsive briefing. They assumed a motion, or I'm sorry, they assumed a position. And they successfully assumed that position because the relief that they sought was granted effectively by the defense consent to that relief. The second prong, Your Honor, has and I will actually point out the cases that the state cited for this principle. So that was the one.
Amber Heard said effectively as much as she said, "My husband will pay for this." During the Fairfax trial, she just kept saying effectively over and over again. You know, smart girl speak. Amber's IQ is indeed higher than Arm's, right?
Oh, she is so hot. It's not even funny, man. I gotta ask because I don't know.
You're a biggest champion.
I don't know, and I've always wondered this. There is a X-rated video, so I'm trying to use. I don't know if we're supposed to be swearing here or not. Anyway, there's an X-rated video of her stimulating herself that circulates. I don't know if that's legitimate or if it's not legitimate. Like if it was a put on. I don't know if anybody knows. Please tell me in comments if you know if that's a true one or not, because it's been mesmerizing. And actually, Sunflower posted something that was completely mesmerizing the other day, and I couldn't stop watching it. So thank you for that. She tried to hypnotize me. Anybody go take a look at her feed, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Anyway, Amber's gorgeous. She's gorgeous, man. I hate the fake cheeks. I mean, it made her look so stupid during the trial with that stupid. Like, I don't even know what she did, but I guess injections or those like implants, whatever. They look ridiculous.
She is hillbilly hot. Yeah, she probably is some kind of cheek implants. They do them subtly, and then she looked different virtually every day, and it did look like some kind of cheek implant during it. I agree, Sunflower, brilliant, and she was crazy.
She would be absolutely phenomenal in bed, and then you'd wake up the next day going, "What the fuck did I do? How could I bang this chick again?" Because she is bonkers, right? Like she's absolutely batshit crazy, man. But, anyway.
When the defense side.
Let me go to the next lawyer. Okay, let's go to a different. This is someone else here. Let's see what else they got lined up. She's going here. This is the judge, and we're right here. We'll go to the.
The state investigated the statements of these witnesses and determined what happened, Your Honor, severe.
We arguing all in the same
witness list. We also. Again, some of these witnesses are interconnected, and so now we have removed
Canada, MVP,
11 witnesses,
agreed,
and the state is now adding back piecemeal, which witnesses they want to put on, and it happens to be some of the ones that they had moved to exclude. Those are the ones who they've listed as being added, and so
right here,
the prejudice is that it does impact our case and our presentation.
I love that. I never get sick.
And then your judicial estoppel is talking about fast and loose, but you also that they took one position and then they took another position, but you're talking about all in the same. I don't know, what is it? 48-hour period. I mean, what?
Does Mexico have an accent?
They added them and then
I don't think so. I don't hear it.
And you're talking about that constituting judicial estoppel.
Arizona has a little bit.
Yes, Your Honor, because it wasn't just that one moment.
No, you're crazy.
Have been briefed over the course of a month as well.
I'll show you.
The state had indicated that the briefing was completed, and these witnesses, in particular, they were very difficult for us to serve as well. We don't know that we would be able to get them back. We had difficulty serving them through our process servers, and they were hard to find. And then there was also one who was released who was actually an out-of-state subpoena witness.
Listen to Hooper getting Canuck. I agree. There's always room for improvement for everybody. You're on a trial basis right now. Sarah is still the GOAT with those double Ds.
I absolutely appreciate double Ds myself. It's my two favorite because anything bigger than that is just kind of a mess. But double D is absolutely perfect.
Bathwater and double Ds for Hooper.
And those also take additional time that we don't have at this point.
Hunter Biden's getting a
appreciate
job
it. Thank
right
you.
now.
I don't know who's going to be arguing.
It's me, Your Honor. Okay. Thank you. May it please the court. Your Honor, the case that actually governs this court's analysis is State versus Harper. And in State versus Harper, the New Mexico Supreme Court at 211 New Mexico Supreme Court 44 paragraph 2 noted that exclusion of witnesses requires an intentional violation of a court order.
It's in the bottom
prejudice
left.
to the opposing party and consideration.
Double D is exactly how somebody got me to never watch football again.
When considering sanctions, prejudice to the opposing party is a central consideration. And In Harper, at paragraph 19, the Supreme Court noted that even when a party has acted with a high degree of culpability, the severe sanctions of dismissal or exclusion of key witnesses are only proper when the opposing party has suffered tangible prejudice. And in this case, Your Honor,
I would write here.
First, I would submit to the court that
this is why I'm going
prosecutorial discretion allows the prosecution to make decisions with regard to the evidence it plans to present at trial. Unless bad faith is demonstrated, those decisions are generally not subject to review. I would submit to the court that in this case, what happened, Your Honor, is that on May 6th, there were a number of witnesses disclosed. Because that was the pretrial motions deadline, the state had no idea the defense was planning to call these witnesses. So we filed this motion. But then these witnesses were set for pretrial interviews, the ones that the defense now seeks to exclude. These witnesses were interviewed. These witnesses, then the state investigated the statements of these witnesses and determined over a period of that weekend that it would be there would be no prejudice to the state. So we went ahead and withdrew the motion. And so what's important for the court to know, Your Honor, is that Mr. Zach Sneesby, which is one of the witnesses that the defense pursued.
Why Zach Sneesby over here? That's some name. It's Zach Sneesby. That's a great fake name if you want to, get out there in the world and not give your government, as my black friends say. Zach Sneesby. Take it, Magneto.
Homo sapiens and your guns.
I'm going to play that 1,000 times during the trial. That's such a great line in the movie. That's how
Magneto?
I feel. I feel just like Magneto does about guns.
Obviously decided to withdraw. Actually was interviewed the week before, the last week in May. And during his interview, he revealed that he was standing very close to Mr. Baldwin when he shot and killed Helena Hutchins. And Mr. Sneesby specifically said he saw Mr. Baldwin pull the trigger. And as you know, the defense position has always been that he didn't pull the trigger. Well, now there's an eyewitness who actually says he saw him pull the trigger. And he said this during his pretrial interview. The state conducted additional investigation.
I should mention, and I can't believe I took it, the director got shot too. Hit in his leg. People don't bring that up. The director also got shot. So the shrapnel went, and the director testified in the Gutierrez trial. And I believe he's going to testify here. Talk about Joel Sousa, and it's so bizarre. I almost feel sorry for him, and I think he was just bullied and intimidated by Alec, and he just kind of went along with. As David looked up in the beginning of this, Joel Sousa directed Billy Baldwin in something, and that's the connection there. And I bet he came real cheap to stay in that $7 million budget.
Okay, so the old, I'll tell you a little ballistics behind this. The old, you remember the Dirty Harry movies where he had, he'd say, "You feeling lucky, punk? This is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful gun." Blah blah blah. Okay, there's way more powerful guns than that, but it is a very powerful gun, and it's incredibly loud to listen to. Like, it's deafening, right? So anyway, what they're using in those old guns, it's called a 45 Long Colt, and its ballistics are very much similar to a 44 Magnum. Okay. So it's what they shot in the Wild West. I mean, you can hunt with the thing. It's a lot more powerful than what police carry, like a 9mm or a 40 cal or a 45 ACP. Any of those things pales in comparison to this round. So it can easily go through one person and into another. Like it's a very, very powerful round, especially at close range. Absolutely ridiculous.
Great movie, by the way, at close range. Sean Penn, Christopher Walken. If I live to tell the secrets I knew then, will G Canada ever have this dance again?
I promised myself that when you came back that I would never make fun of you for singing again. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
I want to say this about Westerns. I remember screaming at the TV like my black friends do in the movie theater and saying, how in the hell, what is the demand for a Western anymore as a major motion picture. We saw what happened to Lone Ranger. We saw what happened to Cowboys and Aliens. We saw what happened to the Wild West with Will Smith and Salma Hayek. Who is asking for this shit anymore?
Those yellow. Hey, wait. You're wrong, because those Yellowstone shows, not only Yellowstone, but they did like 1888 and 1923 also.
It's a different beast. This is a motion picture that you have to pay for. It's not on a streaming service, and that was marketed correctly. When you're going to the theater to watch a Western, it's a different beast. Especially
I don't ever
something
go
like
to
this.
the theater. I couldn't tell you. I don't
with
go
Alec
to the theater.
as the lead as well.
It
Look at what
drives me
happened
nuts.
to Lone Ranger. Johnny Depp is the lead in Lone Ranger, and it's the least efficient movie of all time in terms monetarily. Johnny Depp is the lead. Will Smith is the lead in the Wild West. It couldn't have bombed more.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Aliens bomb over and over again. It's a different deal, the Yellowstone thing.
I don't know. I guess if you say so, man, but I think it's sort of the same, especially when you go back to the older ones that they did. I mean, really, they're just prolonged movies. The amount of money that they spent to do that 1888 show, which was set in 1888 or whatever it was, right?
So is that
is just like an epic movie. It costs a lot more money to do that TV show than it did to do Baldwin's shitty movie here. But
So
you might be, dude. There's so much money right now with Netflix and Amazon Prime and all these things that are just desperate for any kind of content to get a leg up on the others, and they pay for it, even if it's total shit. I can't tell you how many absolutely crappy movies I've watched that have come out in the last 5 years, especially when you're locked down during COVID, that were just terrible. They were pieces of junk, and people paid for them.
Hemorrhaging money at some of these, throwing it at even comedians. Like comedians who don't deserve any deal, giving them stand-up specials that no one cares about. Hemorrhaging money. If you got every streaming service now, it would be way more than cable. There's like 20 streaming services now.
Who has more money than Apple and Amazon?
I know.
You know what I mean? And they're in the TV game, right? Nobody has got more. And Netflix, like these are massive companies that dwarf movie-making companies or any of those by tons. Like Apple's got hundreds of billions of dollars in the bank that they don't even spend. It just gets redistributed through dividends, right? And they're looking for ways to get, Apple TV more to the front of everybody. If they can hit it with one of these movies, great. If they got to put 10 out and only one is good, great. It doesn't matter. The money is flowing, right?
Frank the Tank is a great point. Brandon Lee's death on The Crow. That was invoked during the Gutierrez trial, by the way. So they're going to harken back to all the accidents that have happened. This is going to change the movie industry forever. The protocol with guns, and you're going to see less and less films want to even deal with armorers and the whole gun protocol from this. It's going to change everything. This thing. It's going to be so locked down. They're going to have triple check and 5 armors if they do gun scenes, because it's for this to happen. This movie ruined so many lives, and people quit the industry. There's like 10 people that testified during the Gutierrez trial that quit the industry because of this film. He ruined, and that's why Alec's getting sued, because he ruined so many aspiring, whatever you want to call it. Take your pick from whatever you see in a movie credit. Producers, whatever. No matter what industry you're in, craft service. There's so many people coming after him, civil lawsuit-wise.
See, and if I'm correct, didn't Brandon Lee put a gun with a blank in it to his head and squeeze the trigger?
I think that is how it went.
Which is an incredibly asinine thing to do, because it's a regular bullet and it's folded over. It's a regular shell with no bullet in the end, so there's no projectile, and they crimp it at the end. But when it explodes and the gunpowder explodes, it sends shards of metal from the crimping out. Right? They don't go far, and a lot of times, but when you put it up to your head and one of those shards goes into your temple, you're dead. It's just another incredibly stupid thing to do. Like that's what I said. The second rule is you never point a gun at something you don't want to kill.
Yep.
And you're pointing it at your head and you're pulling the trigger. Like, this is all asinine stuff. This is basic safety that these people, and you were talking about the ego of these people before, that they can't even admit that they were wrong. They killed somebody, they shot another person, and they're, rolling their eyes about it because of their massive, massive egos. Can't allow them to do anything else. But the stupidity is overwhelming about how these people act, and somebody needs to be held accountable. I mean, ultimately, Brandon Lee was held accountable because he's dead, and it doesn't seem like people learned anything by his death because they're still doing stupid shit regularly.
It was so long ago that even I forgot about his death at a certain point. But that was evoked into the Gutierrez trial. Shaka Khan says Arm hates men, and I hate Westerns. I'm not big on Westerns either, Shaka Khan. Great post. If I ran away, I'd never have the strength to go very far. Pick it up, G. Pick it up.
No, I can't sing for shit. But you're gonna have to give me a huge vat of TV and movies. I'm gonna have to sit down for the next 4 years and just watch it all, so that I know what you're talking about half the time.
If I were you, to prepare for this, if you're sitting in varies throughout the thing, just look at Alec's IMDb and just study the people involved with the film Rust. And I thought I heard they're still trying to release it. I thought I swear to God, I saw something that said Alec wanted to get it released.
Yeah, he wants to get paid.
Right.
He wants to get paid for the movie no matter what. It doesn't matter if he killed somebody and maimed somebody else. He wants his money out of it, even if it's just the $7 million that he put into it that he can get back so he can break even. Talk about an ego, man.
Oh, I think he had an investor. I don't think it's his own money. I think he had an
investor. Oh, you don't think that? I thought that he put his own money into that movie.
I think he got an investor.
That's probably Howard.
There's no way he's paying for that. That's
probably Howard.
Never use your own
Howard's
money.
Pushing him to put it out to get back his money. I mean, he's only got 700
Howard
million
doesn't know Alec Baldwin anymore. He will not acknowledge he exists. They are not friends in it. He will not bring him up. It's everybody that's associated with Howard is some piece of shit of some way. That list of creeps that Sarah concocted is crazy, and it just keeps growing.
What would you do if it came out during the trial that Howard was his financial backer in this movie? Wouldn't you go nuts about that?
The silent partner in Rust. That's really funny.
Yeah.
I wonder why I didn't bring him. That's really funny. Thank you, Frank the Tank.
Because he's been so quiet about it ever since. But then again, he doesn't talk about anything that matters anymore, right? So it doesn't matter. All his friends are
creeps. Everybody. Matt Lauer, by the way. Matt Lauer and Alec Baldwin both went to the Don Lemon gay wedding in Manhattan together, which is crazy. The hubris of just showing up to that thing and just, hey guys,
acting like everything's okay.
How do you go to that and think people are just going to ignore your salacious, all that's going on, the controversy in your life,
and determine that it would then withdraw its objection or opposition to these witnesses? There was no bait and switch. There was no bad faith. And what's important, Your Honor, is that these were defense witnesses.
Who's hot?
It's not like these were state witnesses that were not made available for pretrial interviews. These were defense witnesses. Presumably, the defense had spoken to them, had investigated what they were going to say, and they disclosed them on their witness list. So for them to now argue prejudices, I would respectfully submit disingenuous, because
I would respectfully put a foot up your ass.
They are seeking to exclude and claiming prejudice because they withdrew and didn't have time to set up pretrial interviews of their own witnesses. Well, if we're going to list witnesses on our witness list, we first interview them, find out what they have to say, and then we list them on our witness list if we believe their information or the evidence they're going to present is relevant.
Show me that smile.
On May 6th of this year, the state filed its witness list. The 45th witness, as the court noted, is any witness disclosed by defense, called as a witness by the defense, or listed on the defense witness list. The fact that the state then listed the witnesses the defense sought to withdraw on its witness list does not result in a violation of the rule, because we did, as the court pointed.
So they're trying to find all these technicalities. I'm going to jump ahead to the prosecuting lawyer, this this force of nature from New Mexico who got Hannah Gutierrez 15 months when nobody else thought she would.
So obviously she's going to be a politician, right? Like this is setting up to become,
Don't they always?
a senator or a congresswoman.
Definitely.
Or, maybe
right
even higher, right? Or maybe
right in Congress.
Supreme Court justice, something like that. But anyway, go ahead, sorry.
She fit right in.
Named on the.
Come on. So this is her. It's not me. This is them.
Motion for use immunity for Hannah Gutierrez, and parties that are arguing, state your name.
Carrie Morrissey on behalf of the state.
I really recommend.
On behalf of the defense,
watching her
again,
closing.
briefly, Ms. LeBlanc, and I understand Mr. Bowles is on too. So I don't know if the court's waiting to hear from him.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Morrissey.
That is Mark Zuckerberg, by the way.
So, Your Honor, as an initial matter, the defendant, Mr. Baldwin, has no standing to oppose use immunity.
Anybody know Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live? She's actually really talented. She has a phenomenal Ellen DeGeneres impression, the best ever. She's exactly like she was born to play this woman. Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live. She's in a ton of movies too, but she sounds like her. She looks like her. And you could see the Ellen in Ms. Morrissey.
Of Ms. Gutierrez, and that's laid out in State versus Brown, 126 New Mexico 338.
Yeah, Sunflower.
And I imagine that's the reason that their response indicated really that their complaint was that it wasn't timely, and didn't really articulate any other objections, and that's because they're aware that they don't have standing to present any other objections. So to kind of back up,
you think she's played around?
Ms. Gutierrez, as the court can see from the pleadings, was initially named on the state's witness list in February. She was then named on the defendant's witness list in April, and I believe she was also named on the defendant's witness list in May. She was scheduled for a pretrial interview after some difficulty, and I personally intervened and set up that interview, even though it was the defendant's responsibility. So we interviewed her, and as the court can...
I mean, this all makes sense. They would use the same legal team. You're literally jumping many steps that you don't have to do research. She knows the case backward and forward. The Gutierrez stuff has got to be 80% similar to what she's going to go through with Alec Baldwin, and she just rolls into the next trial. It's virtually all the same intel.
It's even better. It's even better than that, Arm, because she doesn't have to, she can learn from the mistakes that she made in the first trial also, exactly. Right?
Yes.
Like she's going to go over everything that she did wrong and pick it out. And, any of us, when you listen back to whatever you've done before, you can sit there and go, well, I did this wrong, or I did
like
that
an
wrong.
Athlete would.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How many of those guys sit and watch tape of themselves constantly, right?
The video cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you go after, and it's going to be easier. That's why I'm telling you, he's going to get 4 or 5 years, and he's going to do 1.5 years or so, maybe even 2. That's my prediction right now. I'm going to stick to it.
That's a good prediction. I like that. That's a good prediction. I'm not going to disagree with that. I like that. A lot of people think nothing. Sunflower Dragon said she doesn't think he's going to get anything.
If this was a fair world, he would get a lot longer than that.
Right? Oh yeah,
but
it's never fair.
It's not a fair world.
Yep.
He's wealthy. He's got a team of lawyers that he's going to pay millions of dollars to get him out of this.
It is not a fair world.
Justice. They say justice is blind. It isn't. Because the only thing that justice sees is green. It's about how much money you have, usually whether or not you can get out of a crime or get a greatly reduced sentence on a crime, right? I mean,
Sunflower says probation, that he's going to go for some celebrity probation. That's an interesting angle.
Maybe. I still think he's going to do at least 1.5 years. I think he'll do a 1.5 years. It is a two-tiered system, Sunflower. You're absolutely correct. The rich and the rest of us, no doubt.
That's right. But you know that Ms. Morrissey here knows that going into this, like you said, and she's going to push. And I guarantee you, during the trial, certainly her closing statement, she's going to be like, no, this is a case of celebrities getting away with what us plebeians and normal people don't. That's not going to happen on my watch. Mr. Baldwin is going to serve at least the 15 months Hannah Gutierrez did. And that's what she's
why I'm
to
saying.
know. Lady
That's
Justice is also
saying.
very racist. That's right.
Well, I don't think it's racist at all.
Her,
because I think that comes down to money.
I would certainly argue
also.
Inappropriately, her attorney instructed her to assert her Fifth Amendment privilege.
Really quick on Justin Timberlake, and the DWI he got. How much you want to bet he came from Jimmy Fallon's house? That booze hound. How much you want to bet he was either going to or coming back from Jimmy Fallon's house?
Why doesn't the asshole have a driver? Why doesn't he have a driver if he gets hammered all the time?
It's the hubris. It's the arrogance of thinking that no one would possibly stop you. He blamed
He's a
Jessica
wealthy guy,
Biel.
right?
Yes.
Like, he's got $100 million or something, right?
I don't think he realizes how hated he is now, though, because Britney Spears has massive fans. I didn't realize how big her fan. She has like Deppening fans. Like Britney Spears has crazy hordes of who hate his guts, and he threw her under the bus, and I think he was already hated. I despise it. I can't stand him. He's one of my most hated. D.L. Hughley said this about Timberlake, and remember when the Janet Jackson thing? Everybody wants to be black until the police show up. So he's dancing with Janet Jackson, right? He rips her top off and then runs away, and then doesn't take accountability for it, and threw Janet Jackson under the bus, which was he had a whole swath of hatred from that. Oh my God, do I hate that guy?
Egomaniacs, man. They're egomaniacs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I guess it's better. That's one thing you can say about Depp is it's better to be completely clueless.
Yeah.
And just whatever, right? I got money, whatever. I got, SEAL Team sex, yeah, whatever. I got 18 penthouses, whatever. Instead of being like these guys. Like, I don't think Johnny would ever get caught DUI because he would never drive anywhere. He'd just sit in the back of a car and get driven everywhere.
I haven't seen him drive himself in years. We talked about that not too, like a couple weeks ago. When's the last time he drove himself anywhere?
Oh, no, he just wouldn't.
No. I know, he just wouldn't. He just wouldn't.
So in contrast to these other guys, you can look at him and say that maybe he is a little bit better, right? Like he doesn't seem to have that colossal ego. Sure, he's self-absorbed and an egomaniac to a certain point, like they all would be, but he can seem to relate to the normal people. If you can say it's something you taught me really, is that he does have this ability to relate to the security guard in the courtroom or the janitor that's sweeping up and just say hi to the person and make them feel better, right? The guy sweeping the courtroom and he'll stop and say hi to him. That's pretty cool, right? Like I don't pay attention much to celebrities. Years ago I met a bunch of them coming through. I'm not going to say how, and generally every single one of them was a total asshole.
Yeah.
Like they treated me like dirt. But I actually think that if I saw Depp, he'd probably say hi, how you doing, whatever. Just even if it's nonchalant and he doesn't even give a shit, it's just to be a decent person about it.
I think he would say this to you if you met him. He would stop you and go, "Oh, hashtag UK court got it right, huh?"
Nice. I'd laugh my ass off, dude.
and that's how he'd win you over with the humility. But like I said about Depp, to compliment him, and I do think there's a lot wrong about. I would alter so much, and Black Morticia Adams is in on this with Sarah. I would change so much of it. I hate his friends. I hate a lot of his movie choices. In the last decade, he has had senility choosing pictures. But there's so many, and I love how if you're innocent, you're truly innocent. You can't wait to get in front of a jury and a judge and do this, and that's what he did. He didn't delay it. He just. I need to do this. I need to show it. I need to cleanse my soul and get it out there. And this is why it's the telltale with all that Trump stuff. He's so guilty of everything, because when you delay, it is a telltale sign that I'm afraid to get in front of it. I know delay is a complete admission to guilt in my book.
Well, you know why people,
innocent, you can't wait to get it over with.
You know why people love to delay? Because after delays, people actually forget their original stories. They change their stories. Yep. People have memories, and their memories aren't like arms. You know, a lot of us forget things. And what happens is the longer it goes, the more things change, and that makes it easier for lawyers to poke holes in people's stories, right?
I'm going to let this run. I'm going to
go ahead.
2 questions that did not trigger.
Just a minute. Is there a reason why the attorneys are not on video? Under our rules, you're required to be on video when we're.
I can't believe I'm here without arm. I don't even know what to say now. Been waiting for this chance my whole life.
Sorry, Your Honor, I just kind of lost my train of thought.
So did I.
So she was scheduled for a pretrial interview. We interviewed her. Mr. Bowles instructed Ms. Gutierrez to assert her Fifth Amendment privilege when questions were posed to her that didn't really trigger her Fifth Amendment privilege. The state is not seeking information from Ms. Gutierrez about her criminal conduct. The state is seeking information from Ms. Gutierrez about the criminal conduct of Mr. Baldwin.
Nice to see New York State
the court
coming
can see from
finally.
The transcript of the interview. At one point, Ms. Gutierrez just asserted her Fifth Amendment privilege without the assistant attorney. And when I mentioned to Mr. Bowles, I said, you're not really advising her to assert her Fifth. She's just doing it on her own. And he said, well, I think she can do that. So we have Ms. Gutierrez, who doesn't understand the circumstances in which she gets to assert her Fifth Amendment privilege, just asserting it, and her attorney not counseling her on that. So the bottom line is, it took a long time to schedule the pretrial interview. That's the fault of Mr. Baldwin's counsel and Ms. Gutierrez's counsel, not ours. They listed her, I believe, initially on April 19th. We requested her pretrial interview on April 21st. We didn't create any delay at all. Her interview was scheduled, and Mr. Bowles did exactly what Mr. Baldwin's counsel wanted him to do, which was just have her assert the Fifth to everything, because they don't want her to testify. She is listed on their witness list, and they presented her for a pretrial interview, but they don't want her to testify. They want to get her statements in as exceptions to hearsay. And certainly what the state is arguing to the court is that the hearsay statements that the defendant wants to present to the jury, those are statements that have to do with Ms. Gutierrez's culpability, and they are absolutely exculpatory to Mr. Baldwin. And they go to causation in this case. It's perfectly appropriate for them to present those statements. I'm not objecting to that or arguing that point at all. But what I am saying is that in turn, the state is also allowed to present testimony from Ms. Gutierrez that goes to Mr. Baldwin's culpability. She has probably more information than any other witness with regard to Mr. Baldwin's culpability. We are simply asking that we also be able to present testimony and evidence from Ms. Gutierrez. The defendant intends to do it. There's no question about it. So the first thing that needs to happen here is we need to have some kind of a question by question determination from the court as to which questions Ms. Gutierrez even can lawfully assert her Fifth Amendment privilege. Once the court decides, okay, this is the category of questions where I believe she can assert her Fifth Amendment privilege, then we make a determination about whether or not she should have use immunity to answer those questions. That's not terribly difficult. Her pretrial interview, as the court can see, was relatively short. I think it was 20 or 30 minutes. So we need to have a hearing. We need to have the court determine, or the court potentially could even do it from the transcript.
Yeah, this lady's pretty good.
Just determine what
she is very smooth.
What she needs immunity for. At this point, a lot of the questions that we would ask her, she doesn't even need immunity for.
Sorry about that. Kim just got back. I had to go to the bathroom and get a drink. Thank you for holding down the fort, G Canada, and everyone in the chat. What the hell was I going to say?
You're good, buddy, but she is very smooth, that lady.
Smooth.
She
Totally.
is a smooth talker, right? You know, she could go on all day. And the more she talks, the more you're starting to be like, oh yeah, okay. Like you're not tuning out to her, right? You're not tuning out at all.
No doubt. I watched her dazzle during the Gutierrez trial, and I don't know. We'll try to go to about, I don't know, maybe 3 hours with this. I just want to show you a piece of everybody. We'll jump around to the other people on this Zoom call, legalese wise and otherwise. I think Alec himself is going to be on the next one. I thought I heard that might be next week. So we'll see how that goes down. Here we go.
She's just a normal witness. She's on the witness list. She's been interviewed. We put her on the witness stand. We ask her the questions, and she's required to answer them under penalty of perjury. There's no reason when she's posed a question. For example, was Mr. Baldwin attentive during the firearms training that you provided? How does that?
Oh, there you go. Wasn't that what I've been saying all along?
What did your firearms training with Mr. Baldwin consist of? How does that trigger her Fifth Amendment privilege? So this is just something that we need to get ironed out so that the jury can have all of the information that the jury needs, that the jury is entitled to, and we don't create a situation where Ms. Gutierrez's statements only come in with regard to the exculpatory value they have for Mr. Baldwin. They also need to come in with regard to the inculpatory value that they have with regard to Mr. Baldwin. Thank you.
Mr. Baldwin. I mean, Bowles, sorry.
Your Honor, and
I would have done an Alec impression.
Preliminary matter, Judge, can you hear me?
She's going to be hard to beat. She's going to be hard to beat, man.
Okay, this dude, Jason Ball, he was the defense attorney for Hannah Gutierrez in the first trial. So he's back again. He's a very kind of rat-a-tat-tat cadence of sort of like, he's much sleepier. He speaks a little slow, very clear, kind of boring, not bad or good, but he loves saying, in regards to.
And now you're starting to see how one won the case and one lost the case.
Oh, easily, you can tell already, right? Immediately,
yeah, because one is just so smooth and eloquent and precise, and you're like, wow, this woman sure knows her stuff. Now you get this guy. You take a look at him. He looks like Mr. Magoo with a tie, you know.
And he speaks in that case.
Yeah, and he's all.
I feel he has a New Mexico accent, if there's such a thing, almost bordering on Native American. If you hear like the cadence here, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I thought I was onto something during the trial. I felt like he has the personification of a New Mexico accent.
Yes.
Judge, I want to make sure. Okay. I'm having poor internet connectivity, so I hope this doesn't affect it. Judge, I want to start by saying that first of all, the assertion of privilege was on behalf of Ms. Gutierrez Reed, who wanted to assert her privilege. It wasn't on behalf of anybody else. She has a currently pending appeal, as this court knows, so she has a conviction that is not yet finalized. And the cases are very clear. She can invoke a privilege as to questions that may tend to incriminate her.
Chaka Cohen has a great point here. Could you imagine Alec during all the gun rants like that you just did? There's no way his attention span can deal with gun idiosyncrasies of guns and nuances of gun protocol. He's definitely going to doze off.
That was my point before, is he'll be rolling his eyes and acting like a jerk.
Yep.
During these whole time. Oh, what I'm doing. You don't have to tell me. I've been on 1,000 of these movies. I've handled guns time and time again, I don't even need this course, right? Because he's such an arrogant
That's
piece of
exactly
shit.
what went down. That's exactly what went down. No doubt. And when a 24-year-old armorer rolls on the set, you really think he listened to one fucking thing she said?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? She's not on his level. It's just like Howard. When you're talking to Howard, you know, a nice little showbiz crowd. They aren't on his level. Somebody has to be on his level to get any kind of respect.
Therein lies the problem with all of the food chain in Hollywood, that the stars can't be spoken to like that. And yet the job is, I always thought about, like, what is it like to be a green director, and you have to give direction to a massive star, like you have to just be like terrified. You have to, I don't know, like, you have no practice in doing it, and you're just on the set, and all of a sudden this A-lister's coming at you, and you get like a fucking asshole like Ed Norton, right? And a new director's there, and he's
Not just an
screaming at,
A-lister.
no, not even an A-lister,
But
right?
Alec Baldwin.
Alec's kind of
And
like an
he's,
A-minus lister. He kind of is, and he isn't.
Yeah, but he's a total asshole.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. He's arrogant, and this girl's 24. And
she knows who he is.
If he likes her, maybe she gets 10 more jobs. If he doesn't like her, she might never
That's
work
right.
again.
And that he ruined so many
Right?
careers with this movie. He ruined so many careers in that production.
I agree with the state. She cannot invoke as to all questions if those do not have a tendency to incriminate her. However, when Ms. Gutierrez-Reed invoked it on her own at the interview, Ms. Morrissey also said in the transcript, and she left that out in the interview, I think she can invoke that. So that's what happened there. That was May 14th. Your Honor, preceding May 14th, on or about May 8th, it was a confusing situation because Ms. Morrissey had told me that on a Sunday, an email that she would stipulate to unavailability, or thought she would stipulate to unavailability, so that the statements can come in through that exception. So I thought it was going to be a stipulation. Then there was confusion on the interview date. Then I had scheduling issues, so we got it set up. Next, Your Honor, on May 14th, we got the
Barbara DeRush is a great point here. It's just like sexual harassment training. One ear, out the other. You don't think it's ever going to be applicable to you. It's just like the gun stuff. They don't nothing is absorbed. They took nothing in. It's the same thing as sexual harassment training. Every year they make you watch sexual harassment videos, says Babs DeRush. You never pay attention to it, and he didn't pay attention to the gun safety. Spot on, Barbara. You know that's what happened.
That's as poignant as a swift kick in the nuts. Thank you, Barbara. It was excellent.
Indication from Ms. Morrissey that she wanted to file a motion to force use immunity, which under Rule 5-116, this court unquestionably has that authority and discretion to do that. Now, Your Honor, in a normal case, and the cases cited in that rule, Bellinger and some others, this court can force use and derivative use immunity, which I do not believe should be selective, as the state indicates, because the problem we get in there is that on cross-examination, questions may be asked, then Ms. Gutierrez-Reed may have to invoke in the middle of trial. If that were to happen, her testimony could be stricken. So I think if this court were to order use and derivative use immunity, it would have to be blanket as to the trial testimony and cross-examination, I would submit, to avoid those issues. But Your Honor, that's in the normal case. This will be most likely the most publicized trial in the history of New Mexico, or at least one of them. And because of that, we have submitted in our briefing, this is not the typical case. If Ms. Gutierrez-Reed testifies, there's no current restrictions about what could be asked of her, including on cross-examination. That testimony will undoubtedly be watched by millions of people. Currently, Ms. Gutierrez-Reed is set for trial in front of Judge Ellington in August.
There's a whole bunch of point and counterpoint arguments about cameras in the courtroom. I'm very pro cameras in the courtroom. One of the arguments is, if they know that there's cameras on them, they'll behave in a different way, and they won't. I think the other way. I think you're going to get people less inclined to lie because the camera's on them. I think it's way better.
I love having cameras in the courtroom because it's transparency.
Federal.
It's transparency,
Exactly.
man. Nothing should go on of federal employees, of provincial in Canada, of state employees in the US that you can't videotape. Not while they're at their job. You should be able to know what they're doing, right? And if they're acting appropriately or not.
Yes. And for transparency for the general public to know, especially in a political case, all this Trump shit, and they're just not televising it. And it's New York is so annoying in that way. And you're going, why? And please, they need to debate. They need to eradicate that entire. They don't even have audio, G.
What are you hiding?
What are you
hiding?
You have something to hide. It makes people not lie when they know they're being recorded.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And they go,
absolutely, sir.
The OJ trial was televised. It's 2024. Get them in there. And if anything, at the very least, record it for later.
Yeah, if you're saying that putting it out now could somehow sway a jury or something like that, their friends might be calling them. I could sort of see that. But then, yeah, at some point you would have to, put it out, even if it's right after the trial. It should be made available immediately after the trial.
If anything else, audio. At the very least, audio.
Yep, agreed.
Barbara DeRush, the Trump thing was federal. Barbara, you don't understand. I don't care about federal. I don't understand that word. I don't know why that means anything with the. If anything, it's more inclined to have. Everyone always goes, "Oh, it's federal." I don't care. I don't care if it's federal. I don't care. I want them in there. Federal more so. I don't care. I'm so tired when people. Barbara, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just when people always explain to me, I don't care what the rule is. It needs to be changed. Across the board, cameras everywhere. Even if you got to release the shit after the trial, or at least if it's audio, there's no excuse. You can't have like Trump coming out and lying about what happened in the courtroom. He takes the fucking podium and does a press conference after that. I don't want to hear it. We need to see all of it. If you're voting for a commander-in-chief after, you need to see every goddamn thing he's up to. And I'm not just talking about Trump. It's everything. Epstein, fucking Ghislaine Maxwell. Get the cameras in every goddamn. I don't want to hear federal. I don't want to hear state rules across the board. Everybody, full transparency, cameras and audio in the courtroom. I don't want to hear it anymore.
It's so good to hear you wound up again, my friend. I love it.
I know I'm going to crash.
I absolutely love it. I've missed that so much.
After this.
I have missed. I haven't listened to a word.
I have been holding on to that camera stuff for Sunflower Dragon. I've said to a million times. I can't take it. I've been screaming about that camera thing forever. I think it started with Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein, how angry I was and that's another reason to love Depp and the cameras in the courtroom.
We have moved to continue that, Your Honor, but that is a separate matter involving alleged bringing a gun into a bar.
I need intonation.
There's no protections
I need more.
As to Ms. Gutierrez-Reed on that trial. Because even if this court were to order use and derivative use immunity completely, that testimony she gives will be watched and heard by potential jurors, and there's really no way to prevent that. Now, the government says we can do a motion to change venue if there's an issue. But again, that raises the issue, Your Honor, this is going to be widely publicized across not only the state of New Mexico, but the country. So that's a very real concern Ms. Gutierrez-Reed has. She's also, and the state really didn't touch on a separate Ellington trial, a Judge Ellington trial, but that is a very real concern of hers, that if she's asked on cross-examination questions related to that, it really...
another point about the trial, then I don't want to be, maybe I do want to beat to death with it. If you
you always beat stuff to death, buddy. It's great. We love it.
Another case you can make, if you have cameras there, it will be less of a circus at the courthouse itself, because if you can't watch it. You're going to have people flooding the fucking courthouse so they can get a look at it. It's a circus. It's a mess. And that would stave off the onlookers and the gawkers that would come and watch a trial. That's another reason.
Maybe not, though. You know what? That could work either way. It might do what you say, or it might get people so interested that they want to come down there every single day. And then you got Stepford Wives and Rodney going absolutely crazy every day at a trial, right? Rolling out the red carpet every morning for Johnny, catching a glimpse of my sweet Amber. Oh, God, she's so hot.
Nothing about that separate case that is relevant to this case at all, I would be stunned if the court found otherwise.
This is
a completely different thing. It didn't have anything to do with
Mr. Magoo is roadkill.
Her participation on the movie set. She was in the city of Santa Fe as just an individual. She wasn't working, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm gonna
not to mention the fact that Ms. Gutierrez has another case pending
all the way to the crooked as fuck, embarrassing Supreme Court. That was I blame Ruth Bader Ginsburg for this problem. That she should have stepped down, know when to get off the stage. RVG.
Okay, no, I'm not even. I don't want to go into politics, but I'm gonna say there should be an age limit, no matter what you're doing.
Yes,
president, especially for the most powerful people in the world. Prime Minister, like Canada, we have age limits for senators and judges. They can't be any more than 70 or 75, and most places do that, right? And we would never elect an 80-year-old to be president and prime minister, but this job for life on the Supreme Court is asinine. How can an 86-year-old be on the foot of the pulse of the country and know what's going on, know how people think, know how people feel? And the law is an evolving subject. It's always changing. I mean, we have our core modern Western principles that aren't going to change, but there's always things coming and going in between because we realize that things don't work and we change them to try and make them work. But somebody who's 86 shouldn't be doing anything, especially not something that important.
And being out of touch. And who are these people? The Green Lantern Guardians? You're all knowing, omnipotent. You're not infallible. You have flaws like everybody else does. How this is a system, I have no idea how this originally was set up years and years and years and years and years ago. How this was right, how they didn't amend it is asinine because now you have this elitist shit where these fucking holding up insurrection flags at his fucking Jersey Shore house. It's embarrassing over and over again. I can't believe we're in this mess. You're absolutely right, G. Cannon, with everything you said. JJ Thrash, yes, sir. I only care about prime ministers. Nice.
Ours is a plug too. Don't kid yourself.
Because of her own conduct. So we don't turn around and say, "State, you can't use her as an incredibly important witness because she's got this other case pending." She has another case pending because she seems to have committed additional criminal offenses. That's kind of the way it goes. With regard to Mr. Baldwin's argument that there is prejudice based on the timing, let me tell you, Judge, I was not aware that I was going to need a motion for use immunity. I was not aware that Mr. Bowles was going to show up to a pretrial interview and instruct his client to assert her Fifth Amendment privilege to questions that do not trigger the Fifth Amendment privilege assertion. Now, based on my experience with Mr. Bowles in the Gutierrez case, maybe I should have anticipated that, but I did not. So I didn't learn of that until we finally got the pretrial interview done. Ms. LeBlanc's statement about the short period of time that the state was considering asking for a deposition, that didn't create any delay at all. At that point
I'm a
in
fan
time,
too, Bobby Burrs.
Ms. Gutierrez was already scheduled for a pretrial interview. That pretrial interview was never canceled. Up until Mr. Bowles indicated that he had scheduling difficulties. So the pretrial interview was scheduled. We talked briefly about having a deposition. We reached out to Mr. Baldwin's counsel. We asked for their position on that. They said they took no position on it. And I said, okay, I guess we'll set her for a deposition. Then they said, no, we're not opposing it, but we think that you need to get the court's approval. I'm not creating that delay. They're creating that delay. And at the end of the day, we said, look, we'll just go ahead and interview her on the day that she set, which was May 9th. Actually, I think it was May 10th. So we agreed we'd go ahead and interview her on that day. The interview was never canceled. Mr. Bowles canceled the interview. We got her scheduled on the 9th. Mr. Bowles canceled the interview. We were trying to get her reset. And because I sort of had this feeling like, if you want something done right, you better do it yourself. I did it myself. And I finally ended up getting my pretrial interview, wherein Mr. Bowles unlawfully instructed his client to assert her Fifth Amendment privilege to nearly every single question that was asked of her. So to say the state should have just been able to anticipate this roller coaster ride is absolutely ridiculous. Now, with regard to the jail calls were provided weeks ago. I know how long it takes to listen to the jail calls because I've had to pay my investigator to do it. There are 2 lawyers on the state side.
What's crazy
You ever read the call?
as I see it,
Go ahead.
she's using Hannah Gutierrez, who she got locked up, as a witness.
Have you ever had to call somebody? Why do you think she got her locked up? That was, if she's playing the long game, this puts pressure on Gutierrez to be the star witness for the prosecution.
Yeah, I need to know
right?
when she's getting off her sentence. And
long
there's
game.
nothing in it. There's nothing in it for her, unless she just wants him to go away, which I could
that
see too.
too.
I think she completely is bitter. There's no doubt she's bitter.
She might sue him too. Gutierrez might sue Baldwin.
No doubt. There's no doubt another lawsuit's coming from her. There's no doubt. Her dad's working on it right now.
But I was going to say, have you ever had to call anybody from prison or even jail?
Nope.
Have you ever been in jail?
Nope.
No? Never been arrested?
I wish. I love prison. I love prison. Fucking Mayor of Kingstown is our favorite show, right?
The new one just started. Have you been watching it?
Yeah.
The new
it's
season?
So good. It's so good that I'm watching it slow because I don't want it to end. So I'm watching like 4 minutes a night. I swear to God.
I actually got my wife to watch it just before the 3rd season started. She hadn't watched it. I don't know why, because she's usually into that. And now she's like, "Wow, this is just awesome."
It's amazing.
Right?
It's amazing.
So I get to watch it again as it was coming up to the 3rd season.
I rewatched it last year too.
Get into it.
There's so much out now that it's so hard to rewatch things. I rewatched, and that says a lot with the options you have now. That I want. It's my favorite character on the show is Robert, who's the crazy sniper, the SWAT team.
Nice. Oh yeah, he just dusts people left and right, eh?
He is the best. Oh, that prison extraction scene in season 1 is the best scene I've seen in general. It was so well done.
If they dig into his character, you're going to find out that he was, special forces.
Yes.
Obviously he was an Army Ranger or a Navy SEAL or something. A guy who's just, they put in the front lines to go in and just wipe shit out, right?
They need to delve into his psyche more. You're right.
And they even say, we'll send him after him, and they know he'll just blow them away. They mention it many times. They call him, we'll just send him in, and they know he'll kill whoever. It doesn't matter, right?
I watched that prison extraction scene 10 times in season 1. It's incredible.
Yeah. It is. Yep. No doubt, man. It's a great show.
10 lawyers on the defendant's side, and they have at least 1 investigator. So if they can't get that under control relatively quickly, I'm not sure what to say. We are not, I want to make clear, we are not asserting that Ms. Gutierrez has a whole bunch of additional information that nobody's ever heard of. She is specifically being called by the state so that she can simply give the jury the information that she already provided to law enforcement and to OSHA with her lawyer's advice to waive her Fifth Amendment privilege. So those are the things that we're asking to get in through her testimony. There's one other statement that she made in a jail call that was specifically provided to the defense. They don't need to go listen to 300 and some of them to find that. We gave them the number.
The ETA on Lotus Notes, Ben Benjamin, is, Sarah's got the thumbnail ready. It's probably, I want to say, late June. Where are we right now? The 21st? Next week, I bet, we'll do it. I'm just trying to have a meeting and get things sorted. Officially what the topic's going to be and theme and stuff, Bon Jovial and David. And we're going to rotate people in along the way, like a G Canada, like a fucking Sunflower Dragon or whoever feels like we'll throw it around. We'll Crazy Robin volunteered at some point. Whoever wants to be in, I'm not going to discriminate. Get some new people. Go.
I think it'd be great to hear John O and Sunflower Dragon give some legal perspective.
Yeah, there's some new people you haven't heard from.
That would be cool.
In general. But yeah, it's probably next week. Probably next week sometime. 8 less than, somewhere between like 7 and 10 days.
We showed him exactly where it was. Now, at the end of the day, when the defendant comes to court and says, Judge, we don't have enough time, we're prejudiced because we don't have enough time, I want to take the court back to the hearing that we had on February 20th, where we were talking about scheduling. And the court suggested that the trial be scheduled in October. And the state suggested that the trial also be scheduled in October. And it was Mr. Spiro, it was the defendant who said, no, we need to have a trial in June.
Yes.
They wanted a trial last month. They got a trial this month, and they continue to come to court and say, Judge, we don't have enough time. They don't have enough time because they asked to have the trial set too soon in a case that has massive discovery. With regard to any of their complaints about all of these documents that have been provided, I have to tell you, Judge, when they indicate in their arguments that they received this massive amount of discovery, what happened was we realized that not all of the lapel videos were in our possession, and they're...
You know how I feel about lapel videos, right? I want to say... So
is that some kind of fetish?
No, I don't know. I don't even know what it means. I love calling back on a word that I don't understand. They're in the mountain time zone, everyone. So in terms of if you're in the East Coast, let's say they start the trial at 10 a.m. their time. That means it will be noon in the East Coast. It will be 11 in Chicago. And if you're in the West Coast, it'll be 9 a.m. So it's going to be weird. Like you're going on mountain time, and mountain time zone might be the least time zone it seems like we deal with, right? It's like the most obscure one out of, not including Hawaii. And so
I think it's got the least people living in it, right? In the continental United States.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Seems like it. And so this is, I'm going to say 9 or 10 a.m. Mountain time. Now keep that in mind, even if, because like I didn't know until 2 years ago that Arizona was in the Mountain time zone. I really thought it was in the Pacific time zone my whole life.
Well, Americans don't know anything about geography. That's why. You guys are terrible with geography.
Really
Everybody knows it. It's known the worldwide. You're great with American history. I mean, I bet you every kid can tell you, all the states and capitals or whatever. But ask them to name a country in Europe, and they're shit out of luck.
I know, you're right. You're right.
They probably say Europe. Like
remember how shocked I was when I found out how close you were to Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I really didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, like Toronto, the greater Toronto area, within 2 hours of Toronto, there's 9 million people living. It's the third largest city in North America.
Hey, you got one city rooting for. I'm sorry, you have one country rooting for one team in the NBA. You have an entire country backing one team.
Did you see the party? Did you see how many people were out on the street when,
it was
when
crazy.
the Raptors
I love that
won
party.
the championship?
The Raptors championship party was great. I watched the whole thing.
It was absolutely insane. And then Kawhi had to screw it all up and go down, and he'll never win another championship now, not unless he's going to join Denver, on a veteran minimum contract.
Frank the hates the Raptors. I don't know why.
The changing of the guard has really happened in the NBA, man. I mean, the best player maybe, is going to go down as one of the greats of all time, Jokic, of course, right? My guy down there in Denver. Love that guy. But even this guy, Doncic, is just a phenomenal player, even though he's my friend's guy. And
I'll get off the NBA in a second. I was looking at the history and stuff. Steph Curry actually has almost the same success rate with Golden State as Jordan does with Chicago.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. Like he's just a little bit away from championship wise. It's pretty great. You don't think of that,
as far as wins and losses, but I mean, Jordan had many more championships, right?
His shooting, a little more, but not much.
I mean, Steph Curry's shooting percentages are just incredible. You can put him against anybody at any time in the history of the game, and he's just maybe the best pure shooter ever in the NBA.
Except unless you're Alec Baldwin on the set of Rust. If you don't,
oh, dude, that was so bad.
You don't realize how an advantage you have growing up with Del Curry as your father, because you become Steph Curry. You get
or
access
Seth.
Or Seth. That's good.
I mean, even the one with no talent made $50 million in the NBA.
I wouldn't mind being Seth. I have no problem with that.
That's what I'm saying. Even the one with no talent made $50 million in the NBA.
Like you, G Canada, the Currys have an open marriage.
No.
Therefore, we're not in the defendant's possession. So as soon
it's
as
not
we
an open
realized
marriage.
that,
Both
we
my wife
got
and my
those
girlfriend
videos
say
from
I
the
can't
sheriff's
have another
department.
woman.
We uploaded them,
That's right.
we provided them, and we realized that the vast majority of those videos
multiple
were duplicative. So what was happening is 2 police officers were conducting an interview. The defendant didn't have the lapel camera from one of the officers, but they did have the lapel video from the other officer who was present for the interview.
Cool.
So a lot of their complaints about this stuff was coming in late. They're really over exaggerating any potential prejudice that they could have.
Let's go to this next white guy. There's a white guy coming up here. He's I haven't seen him yet. He comes right about here. Right about here.
Motion to dismiss the indictment for failure to allege a criminal offense. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I haven't appeared before you before. My name is John Bash. I'm one of the attorneys representing Mr. Baldwin, and it's a pleasure to be here. One bit of housekeeping before I begin. I know we have a motion later today that involves witnesses. If you had a sense of when that will be, we can go ahead and start notifying the witnesses to be ready at a certain point in time, if that would be helpful to the court.
I believe after the lunch hour. This is probably going to take us to noon Mountain Time, this motion, or if it doesn't, we'll break at noon. And in other words, I'll call you back at 1, basically.
Okay.
Mountain Time.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. And with that, I'll begin. May it please the court.
Yes.
We have moved under Rule 5601D to dismiss the indictment for failure to state a crime. And our submission, Your Honor, is pretty simple.
You know, Alec is the whole time going, have it dismissed, have it dismissed. Let's try to throw it away, try to throw it away, try to throw it away. This is another attempt. They're obsessed with trying to get it thrown out.
Of course, this is what happens in every trial, especially when somebody's got high-priced lawyers. They are constantly trying, because if worse comes to worse, they might be able to use it on appeal after.
Yeah.
It's always the long game. We're not talking about the short game here. It's not just this. It's, okay, so yeah, if there's a slightest chance, let's pull it, and maybe not, we'll complain about it later. Who cares? You know,
well,
it's all about making money too, right?
On the other side, G, yeah, the billing is on the other side. What you just said about the prosecutors, it's Baldwin too has ample time to prepare for this. So they got to watch the Gutierrez stuff, and they're doing the same thing. Like, what did she do wrong? And they're trying to correct all that stuff. So he has another advantage. The more delay he gets to prepare, it definitely helps him.
Under State versus Henley, which is the New Mexico Supreme Court's authoritative construction of the involuntary manslaughter statute. That's at 2010 NMSC 39.
Dirty laundry.
In order to convict a defendant of involuntary manslaughter under New Mexico law, the state must establish the defendant's subjective awareness of a substantial risk that his or her actions could cause harm to another person. It's a subjective standard. It differs in that respect from certain other recklessness offenses under New Mexico law. And our submission, the state, and I think we will show this, has abjured any ability to show that Mr. Baldwin had a subjective awareness of a risk that the firearm in this case was loaded with live ammunition. Without that essential piece, the state cannot establish the element of the offense. It's not a question, Your Honor, of evidentiary sufficiency. It's not a question of how different fact finders can view the facts. It's a logical, legal question. The state has said that guns kill people. That's true. They kill people when they are loaded with live ammunition. If the state cannot even allege the essential piece that he was subjectively aware of a substantial risk that it was loaded with live ammunitions, they cannot prevail. Now, Your Honor, there has been a dispute between the parties about the extent to which the state is bound by its factual
There's never been a gun that killed somebody
in the Gutierrez-Reed trial, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit. But I don't think the court actually even needs to address that dispute, because the state's concession is on the face of the opposition that it filed to this motion. I mean, we can take all of the state's factual assertions as undisputed, but they simply have not claimed that they can prove he had a subjective awareness of a substantial risk that the firearm had live ammunition in it. The second thing the state says, and they've said this a few times now, Your Honor,
because
they
if
say,
he
well,
did
if he had
take the
that
safety
knowledge,
course,
it would be second
he
degree.
would know that there's a substantial risk.
I can't convey
Right?
to you how much they covered that in the original trial. What he's saying, this is not like profound ground he's treading on here. I
But
mean,
that's
that's
what
been
I'm
covered
saying.
a zillion. No, you're right.
Yeah, but that should be covered. That should be harped on because that's really all that matters here. It's the basic. When you get right down to it, that's the crust of the argument, right? Crux. If you want to be right, if you want to be wrong, I don't know. But to me, that's all it comes down to.
Yeah, this white guy has had ample time to get this in front of this judge and this, because Alec is clinging to the fact that he initially was exonerated and was celebrating and was on Instagram and resuming his wonderful Hamptons life like nothing, going on podcasts, not bringing it up like it didn't exist. I think he had a cameo on Saturday Night Live in that time. And now, I mean, when this got levied, he was raging, behind closed doors. And once you get a taste of getting it thrown out, you're always going to try to chase that dragon again. Chase that sunflower dragon again, pardon me. And that's what they're doing.
But that's what I was saying. How much of a narcissist do you have to be for that didn't gut you? That moment in time in your life when you shot two people by accident, whatever you want to call it, that it didn't totally destroy you, that people don't see it on your face every single day,
and
that you're not wearing that burden.
Living in Manhattan. He's living in
That's
Manhattan.
what I'm
I would
saying.
leave. I would go to fucking Bulgaria until this thing happened. I would not. You're so right. The shame a normal person feels. You would not. I mean, could you imagine going on a podcast willy-nilly like Dana Carvey and David Spades and just with not a care in the world, completely insouciant to the whole thing? That is a special kind of ego that we just don't know as civilians. And that'll be thrown in his face, I'm sure.
I don't even know if I could live with myself. I would be so destroyed.
No normal person with a heart and mind would. Sunflower Dragon thinks he's getting billed somewhere between $1,600 and $1,000 an hour. I believe that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's putting it, and not only that, but he's billing for the people that work for him too, right?
Yep.
They're getting billed too. All the research, the people that are digging through, the people that are looking up laws. He's billing probably 17, 16 hours a day. I bet.
I remember during the Depp trial, I kept looking for the numbers on this, and I came up with that he spent $8 million on the entire legal process during that Fairfax trial.
That's what So who spent it? Was it Johnny or was it the King of Saudi Arabia there?
That's a great question. So just the Depp nerds might know this. So the budget of the trial was more than City of Lies. And it's more than this trial. The budget for Russ is $7 million. And Depp spent $8 million on his legal team.
And I mean, people don't get this because, he's not on the list. If you look up who the wealthiest person in the world is, it'll say Bezos or Arnaud from France, whatever, right? But that's not technically true because this particular gentleman in Saudi Arabia controls his and yes, there's lots of people sucking on the family teat, if you want to call it that, right?
Yep.
There's lots of people, but he has ultimate control of it. He has 100% control of the family trust. It's called the Saudi Royal Fund, and it has $1 trillion in it, US, when you convert it to US. 1 trillion.
If you think
Sorry.
G Canada's pulling this out of his ass, he's spot on. And he said this in a chat a couple weeks ago, and everything he said can be substantiated and fact checked. He's absolutely right. Because when I went on to read the stuff on him, everything you said was prophetically spot on. And I didn't know the extent of it. You were right. He's one of the top 3 richest people in the world. We're talking about Prince MB, Johnny Depp's new financier for everything.
Yep. And money means absolutely nothing to the man.
Sugar daddy.
He has everything he could ever want. Everything snap his fingers and he could buy, any building in New York City or
and
whatever.
Certainly enough money to make all Depp's problems go away. So all the $650 million he owed is now. I kept saying over and over again on this one, how is Depp, flying private from fucking Oakland to San Francisco and Owensboro to Cincinnati? That's how. There's nothing to this guy, and
absolutely.
He died in the flights.
It means absolutely nothing. He's probably got 10 jets of his own.
They're just wrong about that. Second-degree murder requires a strong probability.
That's a great compliment. You're confident.
If he knew there was a strong probability that there would be live ammunition in the gun, and he fired it and pulled the trigger, which of course we dispute, that would be grounds for a second-degree murder charge. But substantial risk is a lesser standard. There's a significant delta between substantial risk and strong probability. So what they need to prove for this charge is that there's that he was subjectively aware of a substantial risk that the firearm contained ammunition. They don't even claim they can prove that. That's why it's not involuntary involuntary manslaughter. The other point on that, Your Honor, is that there's no rule that says any given factual scenario has to be able to satisfy every gradation of homicide. I mean, there are certain scenarios that are murder or nothing, based on the facts. And even if they were correct, which they're not about the second-degree murder point, that would not establish that they can show involuntary manslaughter without.
I'm going to jump to another.
Oh my God! How can this guy say that it won't show involuntary manslaughter? He shot somebody.
Yeah. He's got to.
That's the lowest level. That's the lowest level is involuntary manslaughter. I think involuntary manslaughter is a given. Like that's not even in dispute to me, right? But anyway,
they have nothing to cling to but that. There's just these horrible Hail Marys thrown by a punter because it's just nothing there, and they've proven it over and over again in the first trials. They're going to get destroyed. Ms. Morrissey is going to destroy them.
Seems
she
like
already
it.
Has.
I can't wait.
May I proceed, Your Honor? Thank you. Good afternoon, Corporal Hancock. Would you please introduce yourself to the court?
Yeah, my name is.
She said Hancock.
Hancock. I am a corporal with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
It's Lindsay Lohan.
And how long have you been with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office?
A little over 6.5 years now.
And currently, what are your duties?
I am currently a corporal assigned to the Graveyard Division Patrol.
And on October 21st, 2021, what were your duties with the Sheriff's Department?
On October 21st, 2021, I was a detective. I was assigned to the Violent Crimes Division in our criminal investigations.
Corporal, would you mind, I don't know if everybody else is having the same problems. I'm having a little bit of a problem hearing you. I'm not sure if you can adjust your and when
she's got my skills.
Law enforcement.
It was.
I gotta,
my understanding.
I absolutely empathize with you. Sympathize. It's a lot of weird when you come on these Zoom things, especially like a StreamYard thing, and you're kind of new. You're not a Luddite, but you're new to technology. It's a lot of pressure. You're trying to perform.
Oh no, I'm a Luddite, man. I'm a Luddite.
You're not bad. There's people worse than you. Once you get it right, once you get it down.
I've never been on anything before, right? This is the first thing I've been on. That's the issue. Like I never had a chance to.
You'll just get more comfortable each time with the technology. It's even if you know what you're doing, StreamYard's a whole other animal to learn the the tricks and shit, and you got to practice. There's nothing that says you can't practice. It's kind of what we're doing now, but you can literally practice on your own. Like you can go into a StreamYard recording and just play with it, which I didn't do.
I didn't know you could do that. I'm gonna do that though. Then.
Yep, it's totally worth. It's fun. There's a lot of weird things and ticks and idiosyncrasies and deep in the settings and shit. It's fun. And if
I want to work out a good set of headphones too, and
you sound good
with
now.
a good mic.
I would stay with that.
Yeah.
Was that
I got one year.
Handed to Lieutenant Benavides from Hannah.
And what did Lieutenant Benavides do with the firearm once he took it into his custody?
He secured it in his patrol unit.
And I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to show you what's been marked and previously admitted by stipulation as State's Exhibit.
Okay, this is another white guy they have here at the end here. I don't know. I've never seen this guy. Let's see what he has. So he's sort of like kind of shaved, buzzed head, goatee, kind of rough looking dude. I've never seen him. Let's see what he's got. It's a white guy. Everyone's white.
All right. Is this your next witness? Where do you go? Ziegler. Is this your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Ziegler.
All right. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You're on mute.
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Ziegler, would you please introduce yourself to the court?
Yes, my name is Bryce Ziegler. First name spelled B-R-Y-C-E. Last name spelled Z-I-E-G-L-E-R.
And how are you employed, sir?
I am currently employed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation within the Laboratory Division, and specifically I'm a forensic examiner in the Firearms Toolmarks Unit.
That's a fun guy at parties. Yes, thank you, Ben Benjamin. So we're going to, throughout we do this, when the people come on, it is very important that we identify the race of everyone speaking. So I'm going to try to figure out what the race of everybody, religious, not whatever it is, and I'm going to probably scroll it on the bottom. So it's very important we know the race of everyone.
You don't think that guy looks a little Spanish?
It could be. I mean, Ziegler is not a. It's more of a Jewish name than Spanish.
I guess. Yeah.
Sometimes you can go by the last name. You can't always assume, but it is paramount to this whole thing that we find out the race of everybody. And then
I think his Jewish father married a Spanish woman.
That could be.
And you got Jose Ziegler.
How long have you been employed by the FBI lab?
Raldo Rivera.
Since 2011.
There you go.
Puerto Rican Jew.
And what is a forensic examiner in the firearms unit?
So essentially, I am. My main duties are to receive evidence that's relevant to my discipline, perform the requested forensic examinations on those items of evidence, issue my results in a formal laboratory report, and testify to those findings if requested.
This guy is a blast.
And those essentially are your duties as a forensics examiner?
That's correct.
At the FBI cooked softball.
What is your
game.
educational background, Mr. Ziegler?
I received a Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science from the Pennsylvania State University.
Penn State.
And did you go work for the FBI after obtaining your degree?
Yes, I did.
Isn't Penn State an Ivy
And
League
did you
school?
receive any specialized training to become a firearms examiner?
Yes, so I had to complete what's called the Forensic Examiner Training Program.
Maybe it's University of
And that
Pennsylvania.
training program is for all forensic examiners at the FBI lab, but it's specific to the unit that that person is seeking a qualification in. So I had to complete that program in order to be considered a qualified examiner.
Are professional.
And how long was that program?
It took me a little over 3 years.
And you could pay your witnesses.
And since completing that program, do you continue to obtain educational classes and continuing education?
Sure, there are some continuing education requirements, and there's also proficiency testing that I must continue to do as well.
And after you finished the initial training, did you then receive on-the-job training as well?
I would say that on-the-job training really occurs during the training program. So I'm working with qualified examiners. I had a mentor that I worked with. I actually worked cases while in a training status, but all my work would be reviewed by a qualified examiner. So I would say that on-the-job type training occurs prior to the.
What's in it for this guy to testify? I don't know, Sunflower Dragon. You're allowed to pay your witnesses, right? I assume someone's can the prosecution pay him to testify? Like, what's in it for him?
Oh, Arm, being a paid expert is a very lucrative job.
Yep.
And the more high profile cases you're in, the more people want you. It's like a high profile lawyer, right?
Yes.
You can sway the jury, and if you've got that gift of gab, if you can talk, if you can make people like you, then even more, they're more listening to how you're saying it than what you're saying, whose side you're on. It's a very powerful thing. These people make a lot of money, right? If he's not working for the FBI anymore, he's making bank to be there.
You remember Dr. Shannon Curry from the Depp trial? The Heather Locklear of Fairfax, with sort of that perfect, cadence and diction and charisma, and she was just rattling off, just dotting every I, knew every possible thing you could know about borderline personality disorder. I'm fascinated now by the paid witness. That is a great gig if you can get it, and I didn't even know that existed until the Depp trial. I really didn't. I had no idea that even existed.
It's big business, and if you're good at it, you make a ton of bread.
Does the FBI lab have protocols and standard procedures as it relates to firearm exams and firearm analysis?
Yes, we do.
And is there a standard protocol for each test that you conduct in the firearms unit?
Yes, there is. Some of the examinations are combined into a single protocol. Others have their own independent protocols.
And do you follow those procedures when you're doing your firearms examination?
Benji was a Van Wilder, 38-year-old.
Approximately in your career with the FBI.
Talk about somebody else with no talent.
Have you
Him and Julie are on the same level.
I would estimate that number to easily be in the thousands of firearms.
Howard hasn't said a funny thing
about your examination
since Jackie
of
stopped whispering in his ear.
There's literally
evidence
no
revolver
talent
in this case, and we'll refer to it as the evidence
Benji
revolver.
Everyone
Were you asked to examine and conduct tests on the evidence revolver?
Why are they all midgets too?
I know.
I was, yes.
And what were you? Who asked you to conduct these exams?
Right. So typically, evidence is submitted to the FBI lab from a special agent.
Julie's like
so
5'6".
in this case, that person was
Jose
Cortez.
5'6" or under. Julie's
So
like
he submitted
5'4".
evidence to
They're not even real men.
What
They're like
happened
mini, sorry, they're little people.
Yeah, and with the Napoleonic complex as well.
Yeah, I think Howard likes looking down on people even more. Like he hires people that are short. Because now he could be like 2 feet taller than every single one of them, right? He could just lord over them financially and figuratively and literally, all together.
Frank the Tank says, I cannot wait for the Baldwin defense to break out the JFK magic bullet theory. Everything, I could totally see Alec going for some. You had him at JFK, Frank. Alec's obsessed with. He thought he was going to be the next Kennedy. He majored in political science at George Washington University. Alec did, and I really think he thought he was going to be like the Baldwin family is going to be the Kennedy family. Billy's into politics. Stephen's a crazy Christian kook, by the way. They hate Stephen. They're all just like.
Didn't one of them die? I thought one of the brothers died a little while ago.
Daniel Baldwin's the other brother. He doesn't come up nearly as much.
Which one's daughter married that Canadian guy?
Alec.
Who can't sing for shit?
Stephen's dead. Haley Baldwin, Haley Bieber. That's
she hit the jackpot there.
I know. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre setup. Anyway, I want to thank everyone we're just practicing today. I wanted to kind of orient everybody in G Canada to what this is all about. You can see G Canada is far qualified to comment on all things and beyond. We chose the right guy. Hopefully you do hang with us as often as you can. I'm certainly going to send you an invite every day. Doesn't mean you have to come every day. You have a life. You don't have to be there every day. When you can.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you're back, and we'll take what we can get of you. When you're here, we love it, man, and we really appreciate it. You're great at what you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, G. Everyone, thank you for donos. I'll play this one more time for Sarah.
Dearest Deppening faithful, if able, please donate via Cash App and Venmo or the QR code or the Super Chats or become a member. You can also join us at patreon.com/Wino forever. Have a great weekend.
The most insincere "have a great weekend" you've ever heard. And I want to hip everybody to Lotus Notes coming soon. Coming to a StreamYard near you, probably within 7 to 10 days. Probably before the 4th of July, I think. It's what it's been in my head for a long time. We need to get to a lot of stuff we never got to on Gunk that just there's no time for or whatever. There's so much that I have on a literal bucket list. Like I need to do before we, I think I have this thing of like, you could die at any minute. There's a lot of stuff I want to get out there before this Stern stuff just goes away when I'm already sick of it. And, but some of the stuff we haven't got, I'm not. And there's so much material that we just need to get out there before it's all over. I'm never going to stop. Like, we'll always have a Deppening, and we'll always have, but the Stern stuff, like that current show, when you talk about a dumpster fire and repeating ourselves all the time, there's only so many different ways you can say.
Dude, it's the exact same. It's the exact same conversation that goes on in every retirement home, everywhere in North America.
I know. I want to thank everybody again for hanging with me on this dry run practice, which I'm doing and I feel good about it. I think we have a good setup here, and I want to invite anyone who wants to sit in. I might go as high as like 8 people at once. We just have to kind of not speak over each other. But when they're speaking in the trial, I'm sure we'll all, and I can mute, but we'll try it. We'll try as many as I can swing. I've seen streams happening with the grifting lawyers, the fake Depp fans during the Fairfax trial. I saw as many as like 6 to 8 people. I'll try to juggle in as many as I can, whomever is available. Just let us know at the deppeningarm@gmail.com or the deppening@gmail.com or 17 Squabble Lane with 3 B's or 2 B's @gmail.com. And we love you too, JJ Thrash and Frank the Tank. And thank you, everyone, Barbara DeRush, Ben Benjamin. G. Cannon, any last words before we shove off here?
No, thanks, buddy. Just great to have you back. Great to hear your voice, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for sitting in. And let's see here. This is how we'll end this.
Howdy.
Moo! 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 I'm a loser! Eh?
Sit down. Stay where you are. For the first time, I choose to walk out on you.
21 Jump.